Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the last great Coliseum for the Decor Depot Bristol Night Race. Here for the Elite Racing Network for your Belly Up Sports Cup Series. My name is David Westergreen. I am joined tonight by our producer, David Huckleberry, and my co-announcer, Zach Evans. And Zach, as we go to Bristol, having watched an Ethan win 5 of our 6 races so far this season, can anybody dethrone those two guys?
Oh, I mean, certainly they've been the favorites this season, but we know how Bristol can be. We know what 500 laps at this place can be like. I'm not writing the check just yet. We've got a long ways to go before we find out who's going to victory lane here at Bristol.
500 laps, like you mentioned, and ultimately that'll be a very long evening potentially if these guys do happen to bounce off each other and run into each other. Obviously, with a half-mile short track, there's certainly a lot of potential for tempers to flare and drivers to bounce off of one another tonight. And as we take a look at the point standings, you'll note pretty sizable points lead for Ethan Stanley, teammate Tyler Fody, and Ethan Burrell. Fody's been the picture of consistency, but does not have the race wins that his two teammates do. Behind him, there's a fierce battle for the chase spots. Top 14 in points. I believe we do have a couple of race win wild cards, but at the very least, it's top 14 in points right there. And guys on the bubble like Justin Fortner, Johnny Thomas, Ty McIntosh, Nick Massey, we'll have to keep our eye on tonight because this can be a kind of a wild card race for your season. Speaking of wild cards, as we do see the rookie race, the rookie standings locked in there behind the champion standings, making the race. He bounced off the wall on both qualifying laps, unfortunately. So the South Shore number 7 will not be racing at Bristol tonight. And with that, we'll go through our starting lineup here. Chad Frankenfield is going to be on the pole. I want to say that's Chad. It's Chad's first pole this year. It might be Chad's first pole in quite a while. The league owner takes home the pole position here for the Decor Depot Bristol Night Race. Tate Lytle will qualify in second. Chad's teammate Ryan Schold will qualify in third, and Tate's teammate David Tucker qualifies fourth. Ethan Stanley, one of those dominant Ethans, qualifies in fifth. He'll be up front tonight. Jonathan Cutlip will start sixth. Gavin Hibbs starts seventh. Jeff Green, the 2000 Busch Series champion, starts eighth. Trey Holmes will go from ninth, and Tyler Fody, second in points, will start in 10th. Scott Crump will start 11th, and Ethan Burrell will go from 12th.
Looking back at, well, that's not right. That went long. Well, okay. All right, we're having some fun with the graphics are not playing nice at the moment. But what I can tell you, starting 13th, Justin Wadsworth. Joining him on the 7th row is Nick Massey. Matthew Weeks, Mike DeWalt will line up alongside each other on row number 8. Justin Fortner starting 17th. Brent Jones will qualify 18th. Andrew Rucker 19th. Chris Wright starting 20th. Ty McIntosh 21st. Jordan Owens 22nd. Leighton Norgard 23rd. And R.C. Enerson rolls off 24th.
Marco Bilas will start in 25th. Justin Vandermarl will start 26th. Jesse Racimus starts 27th. Ryan Gable will go from 28th. Corey Abbott starts 29th with Josh Robin 30th. Seth Rawls will start 31st. Gerald Campbell will start 32nd. Dusty Dewar starts 33rd. Richie Hearn will start 34th. Michael Goodman starts 35th. Kyle Hanshaw will start 36th.
And rounding out the field, Johnny Thomas starting 37th. Nick Indelicato 38th. Michael Hossack 39th. Casey Hatch will roll off 40th. Josh Clark and Josh Personette side by side on row 21. Shotgun on the field. Josh Adams in car 22. Ray Bracey did not qualify, as David Westergreen noted, and you saw on the screen. And the pace car is obviously not racing, David.
Yeah, who could have done that? Field coming around here to get, I believe, the one to go signal. Actually, they might be coming down the back straightaway at this point. Bristol, a half-mile short track. It's going to be top dominant tonight, I think. These guys told me before the race they feel like the top is going to be the place to be, and that's where Chad Frankenfield has chosen to start this race. Tate Lytle will be to his inside, the second place qualifier. The pace car is off, and for the Decor Depot Bristol night race, we are green. Chad Frankenfield with the good jump, and David Tooker trying to jump to the outside of his teammate Tate Lytle for second.
Out front, you see Chad Frankenfield, Tate Lytle going to slot into second, David Tooker in third. Behind them, starting to double file out, but these three out front able to get single file.
Yep, Jonathan Cutlip there going for fourth. Jeff Green working the top of the track in the 2 do-good car. He's going to work past Jonathan Cutlip. Jeff Green already shoots to the top. He's making ground up. So too is Tyler Fody, and Ethan Stanley has now joined his Lake Norman Motorsports teammate there on the top side of the racetrack. And like we were talking about earlier, the top side is going to be dominant, but the way this car trends is it trends very tight. You can burn your right front tire off by running the top of the racetrack, and as Green and Fody drive by David Tooker, we know for a fact that the 40 and the 2 and the 91, they are burning the right front tire a good bit more than the 56 and the 19 here.
And now we see Jeff Green move up to second. And of course, some eagle-eyed fans might notice that those are the Green Bay Packers colors on Jeff Green's machine.
I got a spinner, caution's out.
All right, we'll tell that story later. That's fine. Thanks, guys.
Interrupted, Zach. How dare you?
Jerks.
I got Dustin Dewar a lap down already.
That is Gerald Campbell and Josh Robin.
I got Gerald Campbell and Josh Robin spun around. Let's see what happened.
Take a look here on the Mark Rebelis replay machine. And
Robin going to get a little loose.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, is it got to go back up the hill and hit the wall here?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Robin's already gotten the tally from Race Control Robert Hill, and yep, there it is.
I don't think he got into the wall, but he definitely got out of control trying to stay out of the wall, and that's what collects Gerald Campbell. Does everybody else get by? Does Richie Hearn get a piece here?
A little bit.
Maybe a kiss. Maybe a kiss.
I think Gerald's car will be all right, too. I don't know that these cars hit particularly hard. Ooh, here comes another one. I think we're good.
I think we're good other than... Oh, Johnny! Oh, Johnny Thomas had him locked up, but he gets by.
I think everyone's through, and Lucky Dog should go to Dustin Dewar. Gerald has gone a lap down because he was sitting backwards when the leaders came by. Go on board with Johnny Thomas in the 83 Belly Up Sports Machine. Sees the wreck happening on the binders, but he's locked up, and whoo, that could have been worse.
Yeah, just a case where it just got a little too locked up there and went for the slide and got away with one there.
All right, we'll go on board with Johnny's teammate Kyle Hanshaw over at Kyle Hanshaw Motorsports.
I think that was him that shot through there, wasn't it?
I thought it was the 22 of Adams. I think Hanshaw was up here at the wall. Hatch definitely got the fence.
Excuse me, pardon me.
Yeah, Josh Adams, who you think that was?
I did think that the one shooting through the middle there was Josh Adams, yeah. Josh joining us with no numbers tonight.
There's yeah, I think you're right.
Oh. And there you go. Adams, a longtime veteran of the Elite Cup Series. He'll be one of the guys to watch for moving forward tonight. But you'll note that car from the red, the white, and the lack of numbers on it. Lap 9 of 500, and I did want to note, we were all taking bets before the race. What's the over-under on total number of cautions? And while we're on that as well, I do want to note stages. We do have stages since this is a full distance race, a crown jewel type elite Cup Series race. Stages at the end of lap 125 and 250, paying out 10 points to first and a playoff point, and then you've got 9 points to second, 8 points to third, and so on down to 10th. For both of those stages, so these drivers can earn more points today than they otherwise would in our normal races. Some guys, I think, are going to be staying out all 125 laps in order to acquire those stage points if they can. We have doubled up. Pace car about to go off. The lights are off. Chad Frankenfield, still the race leader. He's led all 10 of them so far. Jeff Green has worked his way up to second. Tyler Fode's worked his way up to third. Those guys used that outside lane. Let's see who uses the outside lane this time and who saves their tires on the bottom. Pace car is off, and after one caution flag at Bristol, we will be green once again. Another big jump for Chad Frankenfield.
Chad Frankenfield getting the jump. Tate Lytle might be able to get around Jeff Green here using that outside line to get up to the second position. Indeed, he will. Gavin Hibbs going to try to follow suit as well. You could tell Jeff Green wants to get up to the top. Can't yet, but he definitely wasn't holding the bottom there. He's trying to find a hole run in that middle lane right now.
Ooh, and big run for Gavin Hibbs down the back straightaway 95 to shift esports forward. Suddenly looking pretty sporty. He jumps into second. He's right behind Chad Frankenfield, and Green stuck behind Tate Lytle. Tate just saving the tires in that 56 car, wrapping the bottom of the racetrack. And it's pretty clear what kind of strategy you're seeing from these teams. As Gavin Hibbs goes for the lead on Chad Frankenfield, he will get it in the 95 car, move Gavin Hibbs out to the race lead. That's our first lead change in 3 weeks, I think, because Ethan Burrell didn't lose it last time.
It was definitely a dominant showing last time out. As now we look at Tyler Fode, Chad Frankenfield battling for that second position, and Tyler Fode's got to be able to get around. I think Chad knows he's in a losing proposition on this bottom side at the moment. Got to let Ethan Stanley by, going to let Jeff Green by, and then maybe he'll consider slotting in behind Jeff Green, or he might stay on the bottom and save those tires. We'll see. Oh, we got caution.
Yeah, interesting note that Chad is saving tires on the bottom. That's not something we would typically see Chad Frankenfield do. That was a professed intentional effort by Chad. He's trying to be better about saving the tires, saving his stuff, and being there at the end of the race, because that's kind of what happens to Chad Frankenfield. As Kyle Hanshaw and Gerald Campbell maybe make some contact here. Might be Josh Adams. I think Hanshaw was the car around, so let's take a look at what happened here in turn 3. Oh, there's a checkup for an incident in front of this.
Oh, yeah, Richie Hearn
is in the wall. And there's Hanshaw gets loose, trying to check up for the wreck.
And gets run over.
But it definitely starts ahead of this.
Let's see what happened to Richie Hearn in the 73 car for 4D Racewear. Oh, there's still an incident in front of this.
It's ahead of this too. You're gonna see Richie Hearn getting to the wall in the checkup.
Bang. That's a decent hit for Richie Hearn. Matthew Weeks is typed in chat. I wonder if it could have been around that area.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
There it is. RC Anderson sideways. We apologize. Bristol is notorious for this, and this started way back in turn 3. I think RC got into turn 3 a little deeper than Jesse Racimus and bounced off of the back of the 70 car, and it upset the 50.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like maybe Jesse had to check up a little bit for the 35 car, and that just kind of stacks them all up. RC gets out of shape.
And Nick Delicato's going to get some damage in this. Trey Holmes takes to the apron to avoid. Actually, that's Justin Vandermarl that takes to the apron to avoid.
Yeah.
But those guys straightened it out. Richie pounds the wall, and then Hanshaw's the one that goes around in the back.
Although, yeah, the yellow's out by that point anyway. I think the caution was still for that, because you could see the Barney waving the yellow flag there as they drove by before we had even cut to Hanshaw going around.
There you go.
So
Anderson does get the tally for this one. Our Robert Hill Race Control does offer that up. And second caution, lap 20. This pace, we're on pace for 50 cautions, I believe, right? One every 10 laps.
I was told there would be no math. I know we were talking to Gerald Campbell before the race. He set the over-under at 19.5 cautions. It's not a good pace if you're taking the under there. He also said over-under 7.5 for starting position for the winner, and 12.5 cars finishing on the lead lap. So we'll see how those. I took the under like across the board. I'm parlaying the under with those three numbers personally. As we see, we have 1 to green here.
1 to green here is Gavin Hibbs, who elects the bottom of the racetrack. Somewhat curious, but I'm willing to bet he didn't want to pair up those two Lake Norman Chevrolets. Gavin Hibbs, Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley, Jeff Green, the top 4. Chad Frankenfield, the pole sitter, has fallen to 5th. I will say, I thought the winner's option of the winner starting in the top 10, I really thought that would be pretty obvious that the guys up front would kind of stay up front. We've seen some passing. Some guys have used the top and have moved forward. I don't think passing is going to be a particular issue until everybody starts migrating to the top late in the race. Green flag is out. Gavin Hibbs with a big jump on the inside.
Huge.
Huge indeed as Hibbs rockets forward. The Lake Norman teammates battling side by side off of turn 2. Jeff Green gets loose, and he'll have to check up. Jonathan Cutlip checked up for him, and Chad Frankenfield tries to surge ahead on the bottom. Ultimately, I think that top lane is going to be continually dominant tonight as Tyler Fody working for the lead here down the back straightaway, going after Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs takes away the top lane from the 40 car, and all 4 of our top 4 drove to the top of the racetrack that time. Chad Frankenfield was the first car on the bottom.
Behind them, you see side by side Justin Wadsworth pulling to the outside of Jonathan Cutlip. Wadsworth into 6, Cutlip into 5. This is a battle for the 6th position, and if Wadsworth can make this stick, you'll move car number 6 up to position number 6.
Yep, Wadsworth and his entire team of Lake Norman Motorsports have a very specific strategy, it appears, and that's get to the front and then hold it there. They are not saving tire, and you see what's happening, but right behind Justin Wadsworth, you've got Tate Lytle, David Tooker, Ethan Burrell, all lined up and all pacing on the bottom of the racetrack. Those guys are saving their tires. They're trying to keep this stuff on those Toyotas. Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley, Justin Wadsworth, they're ripping the top, trying to get as much track position and ground as they can on these guys, and the caution flag is out again. Looks like maybe Johnny Thomas again. Casey Hatch is around. Number 3 before lap 30. Ooh, Hatch's car got loose in the center of the corner.
And that's going to look like Richie Hearn.
Anybody else? The driver jumped to the apron to avoid the 14. Looks like not. Looks like everybody was able to get through okay. Casey Hatch gets the tally, and we're keeping track of those tallies because if you happen to get 2, all right, like obviously we've seen Josh Robin, RC Anderson, and now Casey Hatch grab those tallies. If you get 2, you get kicked from the race, so you do have to be careful, especially once you've got that first tally. Otherwise, you might run into somebody or make a small mistake, and that might cost you being able to stay in the Decor Depot Bristol night race.
It's definitely early to be using that mulligan, right? It's one thing if you get to the second half and then you get into somebody and you say, oh, well, okay, there it goes. But now you've really got to mind your P's and Q's here the rest of the way if you're one of those drivers who has already acquired a tally, because it's very easy to find yourself in a bad situation at Bristol. You're turning these 15, sometimes 14-second laps, and it happens fast. It happens fast.
Right. Yeah, you'll note that we have some difficulty getting across everything that's happening on your screen, just because things are moving so quickly here at Bristol. It's, it may be different than how Zach and I grew up with it, but these days it is still Bristol. It is still so fast. Things happen very quickly, and it's very action-packed, so you guys are just going to have to sit back, enjoy. Hopefully these guys are able to go green and we're able to put down some laps, get some distance in this race, but with one to go here, I think they're starting to double up. Pace car lights are off.
Okay.
So
no,
they apologize for. They are not. They're not. They're off on my screen.
They're very on, incredibly on.
Tyler Fody and Gavin Hibbs have just decided to confuse me. We'll go with that.
Well, I'll save the Clemson jokes. Oh boy. Speaking of, now's my chance. All right, let's show Jeff Green. I'll try to finish this story under this caution because I bet we do get the 1 to green here. He's got the Green Bay Packers colors on, and I'm sure everybody watching is like, why on earth would a dude from Owensboro, Kentucky have the Green Bay Packer colors? Well, Do Good Motorsports, friendly wager within the ranks, of course, Michael Goodman, Goody. Wisconsin guy, big Packers fan. The Packers were playing the Tennessee Titans this past week. You can guess by the appearance of Jeff Green's car how that football game went, even if you are not a big NFL fan.
Yep. There you go. Jeff Green loses the bet, picks up the Packers colors, Goody with the beautiful paint job, and now Jeff's put it at the front of the field, running P4, having a really good run early in this thing, and Jeff knows how to get around Bristol. He's done it a few times.
Time or two, right? Time or two. It was a little different when he raced, but he's done it a time or two.
He had a dominant car here one time. I think it was his first Cup Series Bristol start. He was pretty good. Gavin Hibbs gets the big jump. Tyler Fody and Ethan Stanley, teammates, again, still remaining side by side, and Hibbs rocks through the bottom of the racetrack. Fody with the big run up top, and he and Stanley take over second and third relatively easily. And let's see if those Pro Edge cars start to migrate towards the top of the track and try to pick up some track position here. Tate Lytle has not yet found the bottom of the track. He's still side by side with David Tooker, and we know that's not really what Tate Lytle wants to do. Now he's clear to the bottom, and he will drop down. Justin Wadsworth still side by side with Jonathan Cutlip. And finally, everybody up front able to kind of single out, but it's still Jeff Green on the charge. He's up after Ethan Stanley for that second spot. Wadsworth, I think, will clear Jonathan Cutlip this time, but he's continuing to run the top with Cutlip and Chad Frankenfield running the bottom.
Definitely still trying to sort all this stuff out at the front of the field. It's kind of interesting to see which guys want to run which lanes, which ones are trying to manage the tire wear, which ones want to get up front. And I think it's got to create some awkward situations as we go along. But right now, these guys are playing pretty nicely with each other. As we look a little further back here, this is Scott Crump and Ryan Schultz side by side.
Yep, right in front of Chris Wright. Matthew Weeks is there on the bottom of the track in the 11 car. Jesse Racimus is in the 70 up top. And it looks like right now, the lanes are pretty even. Inside line's able to hold serve with the outside. It's right almost into the door of Ryan Schultz, but I think as the run wears, as the right front tire starts to grind away, you'll see the outside line be a lot more dominant because the inside car will have to get further out of the gas pedal in order to rotate through the center of the corner and ultimately lose that run on corner exit. As it stands, Matthew Weeks is losing some time. Schultz been able to hold Scott Crump back a little bit, but I think he's overall fighting a losing battle right now.
And we'll definitely keep an eye, like you say, those lanes and how they develop over the course of the night. Because one thing iRacing does remarkably well is that the concrete tracks, much like in real life, very sensitive to those changes in terms of track temp, in terms of tire wear, in terms of rubber buildup. We see the track temp on the screen right now, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. That will change over the course of the evening as the night progresses, the in-session time goes later and later into the night, and the ambient temperature drops. That'll be something we'll keep an eye on over the course of these 500 laps as well.
You'll see these drivers making decisions, right, based on how they're feeling in the car with regard to how the track is feeling, how the car is starting to feel, right? We're seeing Ryan Schultz fall back. Just behind this group, you saw Matthew Weeks jump to the top lane. He was losing ground on the bottom of the racetrack. So Matthew Weeks, one of our, more dominant drivers, a point, one of the top guys in points, a former champion of this series, And our defending champion of the series, he was falling backwards. He did not like where he was, and so he moved up to the top of the racetrack to change how he feels like he's running. And you see Weeks trying to run that bottom. He's trying to get as much ground as he can, but he's watching the outside line go past him, and he's finding it difficult to pass now. And he's saying, all right, well, I have to do something that I can, stop falling and then start working my way back to the front. So, for guys that you're going to want to watch out for, this 11 car is one of them. The guy right behind him, Ryan Gable, that's another car you're going to want to watch out for tonight. Gable typically very fast at these short tracks. Qualified back in 28th. He's worked his way up a little bit. He's up to 18th spot right now, but that's a guy that he's going to have to figure out how to navigate the traffic on his way forward. He's dodged the carnage so far. How does he make decisions based on what Zach was talking about with the tires, right? With the grooves, with the track temperature. And Ryan Gable's the type of driver that he can either save his stuff or he can go, and we know that.
Matthew Weeks, 3rd place last time we ran the full distance Bristol night race 1 year ago, 2023B season. Garrison Hogan, the winner that night. So definitely a guy to watch here at Bristol. No surprise, of course, that you rattled off all his accomplishments and accolades here in Elite. So no shocker that he's good at a racetrack, right? But definitely a guy to watch over the course of this evening.
One thing that we weren't watching while we were kind of hanging back watching this pack is that Tyler Fody has taken the race lead away from Gavin Hibbs, and he's pulled one of the Ethans through, Ethan Stanley, his teammate, up into 2nd spot. So Tyler Fody in that 40 Lake Norman JD Designs Chevrolet, that's one of the cars to beat, and it's been a little bit surprising that Tyler Fody hasn't gotten into victory lane. I got him a little bit about it the other week when we got to interview him, and I was kind of like, Tyler, where's the win? Because he's won a lot of races in this elite series across all our various series, and he hasn't won one yet this season. Here's the pass for the lead.
There you see he threw it to the bottom here and gets alongside Gavin Hibbs. I think we're probably a little bit surprised to see somebody go to the bottom for a pass like this, but Tyler Fody able to just power by. Pretty impressive to see from the 40 car there.
And there's a big gap now. Jeff Green is hanging on to the back bumper of Gavin Hibbs right now, about a second off of Tyler Fody. Caution's going to be out here. I'm hearing wrecking. Here.
Matthew Weeks is it. Nick and
Jesse Rastimus.
Yeah.
Well, we did talk about him. Andrew Rucker is going to get some damage here. Nick and Delicato is going to get some considerable damage here.
There's Jesse Racimus.
Let's take a look at what happened at Weeks. Going to try to get going. I don't know if he's going to stay on the lead lap. Oh, this is going to be on the 10 car.
Oh, that's massive.
And that's netcode. And that's netcode on top, yeah. Oh, and Racimus was in front of this and ends up getting wiggly because the cars behind kind of disturbed the connection. That's rather disappointing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was another netcode contact there that somehow... Yeah, that's tough.
70 car with big damage. Leighton Norgard getting sideways in this. It looks like the 12 might be okay. Yeah, that car jumped sideways before the 10 ever got to the door of the 11. And there's a split strategy up at the front of the field. We'll get to that once we finish the replay. But you'll note that Tyler Fody's still out there. Tate Lytle, David Tooker, Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Burrell are coming down pit road. That is... I'm not sure they can make it to the 250 mark. And that would lead me to believe that this is a questionable decision, but those Pro Edge guys usually know what they're talking about.
I'll tell you what. Well, first off, are we getting cautions at the stage breaks? Normally we don't, right?
We do not.
All right. So here's my thinking. You've done 60 laps at this point. That was a pretty long green flag run. You've got 8 sets of tires. If we've, God forbid, I say that tongue firmly in cheek, we would love to see some green flag racing here. If you get a long, we did see 1 year ago in this race, there were green flag pit stops. Give me all the fuel I can get right here. Because if you have to pit under green and the rest of the field doesn't because you get a badly timed caution, you're 4 laps down. Give me fuel now.
Yep.
I might get some tires too, but give me fuel now.
Right. And there's definitely something to that. Now I will note that these guys can make it about 100 to 150 laps in there. And with the cautions we've gotten early, that's going to continue to extend the run they can make. I think you can easily get to the first stage without pitting. Having
Sure.
pitted now, I don't think these guys can get all the way to the second stage. I think you needed to be about 50 more laps.
I would agree with you on that. I don't think this gets you in position for the second stage. I think this is the long game, right? It's putting yourself in a better position longer. Now, catch 22. We've seen these incidents. Guys up front not running into each other. You've put yourself into hornet's nest now. That is the downside. I'll admit that. I would have been one of the guys pitting here, but you know what you're signing up for when you make that pit stop.
Right. And now a few guys have stayed out, Dusty Dewar, Josh Adams, and a few others that maybe not necessarily as fast as Tate Lytle, David Tucker, Ethan Burrell, Jonathan Cutlip here. So there's going to be some battling that they maybe weren't expecting here. Is the green flag coming back out this time? Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley on the front row. We'll monitor the progress of the cars on the fresher tires, but Tyler Fody gets the big jump on his teammate Ethan Stanley. He'll run the middle of the racetrack in turn 1 and pull Stanley through up top. Everybody's double wide right behind. Trying to keep my eye on those fresh tires, see what kind of advantage they have right now. David Tooker's got the advantage over teammate Tate Lytle back there. Up front, it is Gavin Hibbs and Jeff Green trying to work around Chad Frankenfield.
There you see Chad Frankenfield diving to the bottom, trying to fight for that position. Gets a little squirrely, but kept his speed up on the exit there of the corner, turn number 4.
Chad's done a good job tonight, I think. Thus far, he's saved his tires pretty well, and you can tell that the bottom is working for that 15 car. Now, the problem might be that he didn't take a chance to get up when he had it. And there's a couple of Lake Norman Chevys right behind him.
But I think to your point, like you say, he's kind of playing the long game tonight, definitely more so than we're used to seeing from Chad. And I think he's fine with that right now. So, it's kind of surprising to see him take on that role, but right now he's making it work, and caution. We have a caution. I do not see it on my screen.
Smoke on the front straightaway. I don't know. Looks like it might be.
I was about to say that looked like some damage on Andrew Rucker's car.
Yeah, damage before. Let's take a look. Checks up for Matthew Weeks, and Josh Personet's gonna not continue the checkup and get in the back of the 64. Oh, Gerald's gonna get a little more damage. And Personet is going to get the tally on this one. He ended up nosed into the inside wall. So a tough break for Josh Personet, who was already 1 lap down in this one in the Corona number 18.
There's the confirmation from race control.
Tate Lytle made up 2 spots, I believe, in that skirmish. So he's into the top 10. He's back into the stage points. That'll be coming through in about 50 or so laps. And at Bristol, if we get going green, I mean, that's like 15 or 20 minutes. So, he's made some good ground because a lot of the cars behind him also came down pit road. But again, it's still a little bit risky for my blood. We'll see how it works out for Tate Lytle, Ethan Burrell, and the other members of the Pro Edge racing team.
It'll definitely be interesting to keep up with over the course of the night, the different strategies, when guys decide to pit and get those tires, when they decide to stay out for track position, especially with those stages. I mean, those can be huge with the stage points on the line in a full distance race. So, a lot we're going to be trying to keep up with tonight as we start lap 69 under the 5th caution of the evening.
Yes, indeed. And Ty McIntosh back down pit road, a little bit curious. He was up to top 20, so Why don't we do an ad read of some kind here? Grab one or two. We'll try to do them every couple of caution flags, but I think we can maybe do a read. I probably wouldn't go to full commercial.
Okay, I probably need to undo my mic if I'm going to read, don't I? Well, let's do a sponsor read here.
Muted.
All right, well.
Oh, I wasn't muted. I wasn't muted to the broadcast. I was only muted to you guys. Okay. Belly Up Sports. This is the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. The Internet Sports Bar, sports commentary via podcast, forums, and articles on tops ranging to nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out on X or at bellyupsports.com. Our race sponsor for tonight is Decor Depot, purveyors of fine vintage goods on Etsy since 2019, based on the foothills of the Pocono Mountains. How's that for a couple now? We'll catch one in the next caution.
Yeah, we'll get them all.
We'll get them all.
For sure. Pace car lights are off. Everybody is doubled up. Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley on the front row for Lake Norman Motorsports. Gavin Hibbs and Jeff Green on the second row. Green flag is out. Tyler Fody with another big jump. The leader's going to have that big jump all night long, and I think that you're going to want to keep that track position out front, much like we saw Kyle Larson do in real life, because that's very powerful. Jeff Green bounced it off the fence in front of Justin Wadsworth. Wadsworth was able to check up, but it might let Chad Frankenfield go up the racetrack, but it seems like Chad was very content to stay on the bottom. Yeah, spoken too soon.
Yes, he will actually squeeze up in front of Jeff Green. I wasn't sure. It seemed like he was thinking about it all the way up to the high side, and even here he's got to drop to the bottom over in turns 1 and 2.
I think it's pretty obvious that the faster line is the top of the racetrack, but if you can make the bottom line work for any length of time, that will help your tires remain cool, and it will make you a faster race car. And I think Chad Frankenfield knows that, and now that he can run the bottom without pressure from Jeff Green behind, he's going to make that choice. As we see Justin Wadsworth clear by Josh Adams for that 6th spot behind Jeff Green, and battle between Adams and Scott Crump for 7th. Right behind that, it's Tate Lytle with the fresher tires. Ooh, Adams loose.
Oh, big move there from Tate Lytle to get to the bottom in front of Josh Adams when he got loose as well.
Scott Crump trying to hold up on the top side. We're watching those fresher tires on the 56 of Lytle, and it's one of those things where it then makes me question, well, if Tate was going to pit on one of these cautions, why would you save the tires in the first run anyway? But regardless, Tate working through. He does get by Wadsworth. The fresh tires on the bottom, very useful. And Tate Lytle clears by Justin Wadsworth for 6th. He's going to have a shot at Jeff Green here for 5th. And hey, if he's able to stay clean as Lytle trying to clear by Jeff Green, might win him the stage. That could be very useful for a guy who's missed a couple of races, needs more points.
I'm going to give Lytle maybe too much credit here, but I'll throw this out there as a theory for your suggestion. Maybe he went down pit road after saving those tires. Nobody that stayed on track knows what their tire wear is at. He got to come down pit road, see what his first set of tires was. Maybe he looked at it and said, you know what? I'm not trying hard enough. I need to get some more out of this race car. The tire wear is not bad for what I did that first run. Let me go after it.
I'm almost certain that you are correct, because Tate is certainly piling this 56 car into these corners a lot more than he was beforehand, and he's doing it with a lot of extra grip because those fresh tires are providing that, as he does get by Gavin Hibbs, and we're watching the difference. Look what fresh tires can do. These guys are taking note of it, right? It's not something that can end the race of Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley, Gavin Hibbs, but these guys are definitely going, fresh tires? Those might be useful later on in the night.
And it's pretty much played out exactly how Tate Lytle would want it to, right? He's gotten this a little bit of a green flag run to pass some cars, take advantage of those fresh tires, get up to now the 2nd position. He's got to set his sights on Tyler Fody for the lead here.
Yeah, and the fresh tires are still working, but you're seeing that they're starting to fall off a little bit, right? It's a little bit tougher for Tate to clear by. He cleared by Stanley, not able to clear by Fody just yet, but he should get him here in turn 3. And yes, Tate Lytle to the race lead. Another lead change. We're setting records compared to Dover.
An interesting note I just checked over here on my end, even though it's gotten a little bit later in the evening, now that we've gotten some green flag laps in, track temp up to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The track's heating up a little bit now. We're getting some green flag running, and again, that's not going to be great for those old tires.
No, it's not helping the old tires at all, and you're seeing some of these guys struggle as we look back from the big gap between Tate Lytle and Tyler Fode. Scott Crump's kind of holding on for dear life in front of the big pack of Jonathan Cutlip, David Tooker, and others. Jeff Green just got into Josh Adams. Adams is sideways on the back straightaway. I think they're going to save it. I don't see the yellow flag yet.
No yellow. He is pointed the right direction. I don't know if he kept it out of the inside fence, but he is still rolling.
So Adams able to get back going. Green's okay, but that 2 car is really starting to pay for using the outside lane as much as he did early in the event. Up front, Jonathan Cutlip going after Chad Frankenfield. Back here, it's Josh Clark with fresh tires going after Jeff Green. Trying to keep everything on the track as much as possible here because there's a lot going on. Cutlip working after Hibbs. He will get Hibbs, move Jonathan Cutlip up to P4. Chad trying to get underneath Gavin Hibbs while side by side with David Tooker. It shocks no one.
Oh boy, David Tooker, Chad Frankenfield side by side here. That's right in the battle for 5th with Gavin Hibbs involved in that as well. Scott Crump, of course, lurking just behind Chad Frankenfield. Tooker's got to be able to break free here. He's got to start chasing down the side-by-side battle in front of him between Jonathan Cutlip and
3 wide.
3 wide here.
Scott Crump stuffed it 3 wide middle on Chad Frankenfield and Gavin Hibbs. He's going to make it work in that 90 car. Here comes Josh Clark looking to do the same. And we haven't talked a whole lot about Josh Clark, but he followed his Pro Edge teammates down pit road. We got the green flag run they were looking for, and all of a sudden, Josh Clark into the top 10, up into 7th, working on Hibbs for, I guess that is 7th, that he's working on Hibbs for. He should clear Hibbs right here, so move Josh Clark into 7th, a really strong run for the 28 car. And while I said that, Tyler Fode lost second to Jonathan Cutlip.
Indeed, Jonathan Cutlip up to the 2nd spot. He's picking him up, putting him down. David Tooker next in line, and I think he's got plenty of speed. He's been able to get around Ethan Stanley. He's got to set his sights next on Tyler Fode. Tate Lytle nearly more than a 2.5 second lead as we watch this battle for the 3rd position.
Yep. Tooker working after Tyler Fode. Lap 96. We're going to get a stage point awarded at lap 125. 10 points for first. 9 for second, so on back. If Tyler Fode and Ethan Stanley pick up stage points, I think that would be a net win for their strategy. But they're 3 wide behind. We may not be getting out of here with a caution. Mike DeWalt working under Chad Frankenfield and Gavin Hibbs back there. That's where the big action is, and Hibbs is really struggling in the 95. There's still 3 wide back there. Chad's 3 wide with Anderson and Hibbs down the back straightaway. Here it is.
Yeah, this is not a good situation here. At some point, somebody's got to give, yeah.
Chad clears Gavin Hibbs, jumps to the outside once again. R.C. Anderson, who had pitted for the damage when he got involved in that incident, and he will move up into the top 10. What a recovery drive by Anderson. And there's one of our other Ethans, Ethan Burrell. He's working to the inside of Chad Frankenfield with fresh tires. See if Burrell can get into the 11th spot. I think he will. Up front, yep. Tate Lytle and Jonathan Cutlip have encountered lap traffic, and it is slowing Tate Lytle up dramatically. Jonathan Cutlip has cut that 2.5 second lead down to 0.8. They've lapped Josh Robin, Chris Wright, and Richie Hearn.
Yeah, you can see there were a couple of laps there where Jonathan Cutlip picked up a half a second at a time. Meanwhile, one's out of shape. 10 car. Got a piece of the wall. He's still going. I think we're good. But the 10 car definitely got a piece of the wall while they were racing 3 wide on the backstretch.
They are still getting pieces of the wall. They're still 3 wide back there around Brent Jones and Johnny Thomas. This field has really jumbled up with a long green flag run here after that caution and some of the cars coming down pit road. It is shaking things up dramatically. Brought up the intensity and brought up the the kind of the difference in tire wear, and it's created a lot of passing opportunities for these drivers. All of a sudden, Nick Massey, I don't think we even mentioned him. He's up into 6th. He just drove around Mike DeWalt. He's working his way around Scott Crump. Josh Clark lost 5 spots, fell back to 11th, and Massey's looking to the outside of Crump for that 5th spot. Oh, Massey got the wall. They are going to give Nick and Delicato a tally for that incident that we did not catch on the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and see if I can figure out what happened there.
Sounds good. Ethan Stanley is back to 10th, so Ethan Stanley may not get points here at this stage. That would make 1 Ethan. There's more contact. Crump up the track. Scott Crump losing ground now badly in the 90 car.
Yeah,
what's going on? I don't know where to go.
Whiplash got the meatball from getting kind of squeezed into the wall there. It's hard to tell really what happened. Nick and Delicato was 3 wide, and that kind of led to the incident. Whiplash was just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, but unfortunately, due to the nature of the damage he received, race control putting that tally out there, which can be issued even in a green flag situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so significant damage tally awarded there as drivers continue to go a lap down. The current driver that under attack from Tate Lytle is Matthew Weeks, the defending series champion and one of our fastest drivers. But remember, he and Jesse Racimus in the 70 car right in front both got involved in one of our wrecks earlier in the race. Racimus into the wall right in front of Weeks, and Weeks will go a lap down, but he will clear by the 70 car. All this battling has opened up the door for Jonathan Cutlip to work closer to Tate Lytle for that race lead.
And see, this was kind of the concern for those guys who did stay out, and obviously Matthew Weeks is fighting some different gremlins as well, but you're already going to start losing a lap on pace to these guys with fresher tires, and you're going to have to pit before them if you haven't already. You're going to run out of fuel before they do. And the thing with Bristol, because iRacing, in real life, you only have to go down 1 pit road under green, but both under yellow. iRacing doesn't have the ability to differentiate that based on the track state, if you will. So if you have to pit under green, you have to drive down both pit roads. You will spend a minute on pit road. You will lose close to 4 laps, even against guys that are running 15 or 16 second lap times on older tires.
Right. These guys do not want to have to pit under green if they can help it. The complexity of pit road in general is already a problem point for a number of drivers in these series, and you know, just adding to that the requirement of going down multiple pit roads at speed. We'll see speeding penalties, right? We'll see potential unsafe pit exits, and then just the amount of lost time. Very difficult. As Ethan Stanley holding up the group right behind Scott Crump and Mike DeWalt. Caution's out.
Caution. And boy, that's a blessing for those guys who hadn't pitted yet.
Now somebody's going to stay out and try to snag some stage points. I can promise you that.
Well, I don't think that'd be a good move.
I don't either, but, you know, it's certainly one of those things. This was right around race leader Tate Lytle and Jonathan Cutlip. Looks like Rucker maybe got into Jeff Green here. Green got the fence on corner entry. Oh, he got hit by Josh Adams well before that.
Yep. A little bit of close racing there, and Jeff Green's got to get a piece of the wall. Andrew Rucker's got to have nowhere to go. He's got to check up.
I think they make more contact right here on corner exit. I'm trying to see if this involved Jonathan Cutlip.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, seeing this replay.
Oh, boy, I think Cutlip's going to get very lucky.
Wow.
Whew.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yep. Heart and throat moment for him, for sure.
How about Matthew Weeks dodging to the inside? He will get by Andrew Rucker. Worth noting, the guys who did pit already, Tate Lytle, Jonathan Cutlip, David Tucker, they're all coming down pit road. I don't know if that'll be a netcode contact or if maybe we'll racing deal that one. And yeah, Robert Hill is going to issue that as a racing deal. He pops it up on the he pops it up in the iRacing chat where I can see it very quickly, and then it also pops up here on the broadcast. There you go. No tally racing deal between Rucker and Jeff Green. And you saw just how much of a penalty it was that Jeff Green abused the right side tires moving forward early in the event. He was being lapped by Tate Lytle, a mere 40-ish laps after?
Yeah.
After that caution? Yeah, it's a difficult spot to be in. As Jonathan Cutlip, Tate Lytle race off pit road, it's going to be Tate Lytle beating Jonathan Cutlip off pit road, but Justin Fortner has, I believe, stayed out. He and Josh Clark have both stayed out. They're going to be the ones to see if they can't snag themselves a few stage points.
Maybe take this chance here to get in an ad break.
It's a good idea.
Flames will burn and sparks will fly at the NHRA Midwest Nationals this weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Kick off race weekend in style with 2 qualifying sessions in one day. Plus, the can't-miss show of Nitro under the lights this Friday. Get tickets at WWTRaceway.com with kids 12 and under free in general admission. The NHRA Midwest Nationals this weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Welcome back to the Decor Depot Bristol night race here for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Justin Fortner, your race leader, he and Josh Clark have stayed out on old tires. They will attempt to snag stage points. They need to just stay out front for 2 laps. Here, as the pace car is off, Fortner and Clark. As Fortner gets a huge run. Let's see if it's enough for Justin Fortner to pick up a stage win here at Bristol. I don't think it's going to be enough. Jonathan Cutlip shot out of a cannon here on this restart.
Big run here for Jonathan Cutlip. Give credit to Fortner. He did the best he could to open up a gap on that restart. But here comes Jonathan Cutlip on the inside. Fortner sitting on 14th in the points coming into this race.
Yellow flag is out.
Ryan
Yellow flag is out.
Corey Abbott is in it. I believe I saw Mike DeWalt in it. There he is.
And for what it's worth, Justin Fortner picks up 8 stage points. Josh Clark picks up 2 stage points. And it works out perfectly for the both of them.
It worked out for them. I will say I was skeptical. It worked out for him, and we'll take a, well, maybe we won't. Well, there we go. There you see Fortner 14th in points coming into the night. These don't update in real time, unfortunately, but that's why he's looking for those stage points. He's trying to stay above that cutoff and stay in the playoff picture. And yep, that's what those 8 points are good for.
Yep, Josh Clark down the way just a bit, I believe, but the 28 picking up a couple of points, and there's nothing to lose for Josh Clark. He's out here trying to get off strategy, off cycle with the leaders, and pick up some points. And while he's at it, I think that's a pretty reasonable move. And we will also now take a look at the replay on the Mark Robilas photo replay. And this looks like it happened right behind Josh Clark. Oh, Clark got into Ethan Stanley. Oh, Stanley's got a broken left front tire.
Yep. And then I think DeWalt, I almost added like 3 syllables to his name there. DeWalt, Mike DeWalt is going to get loose trying to avoid this. Unfortunately, when he does that, it's going to spin him down the track, and that's going to create a little bit of a track blocking situation as we see the tally will go to Josh Clark. But this is where it gets tough for everybody, because now you can't go high because Ethan Stanley's there. You can't go low because Mike DeWalt's there. For the most part, everybody does as good as they can to avoid it, but there you see Justin Vandermarl get kind of collected.
Both of the fueled up racing Chevys of Vandermarl and Trey Holmes involved in this one. We'll have to go back and continue our looks into this incident because it's pretty extensive. Back here with a Leighton Norgard. I'm seeing Ryan Ryan Gable just got loose under braking, came back up the track and got Ryan Stold. Corey Abbott checked up and got into it. Yeah, and Gable's got under braking, and that car just snapped around on Ryan. A lot of these guys have gone a lap down from just repairing the car. And Gable's pretty fortunate the 4 car was kind of phasing through him. I think he would have gotten even more damage if Ryan Schuld had been fully there. Ethan Stanley has 8 minutes of required repairs to fix that left front tire, so it is official. One of the Ethans not going to be winning this Bristol night race.
Yeah, tough break there for Ethan Stanley.
Rabilis, Josh Personette, Gerald Campbell able to check up for the wreck in the back.
What? Yeah. Okay, we are 1 to green, but the field is not very tidily lining up here. They're starting to figure it out, but that was very discombobulated as we cut to the front of the field there.
Up front, it is Jonathan Cutlip, the race leader. It'll be Tyler Fody running second, Nick Massey starting third here, and Ethan Burrell starting fourth on this restart. Ethan Burrell, the remaining lone Ethan, with a chance to continue the dominance of Cutlip with a big jump, and it's going to assist the Ethan Burrell car around to the outside of Tyler Fody. Nick Massey, the car that stacks up the bottom of the racetrack. David Tooker clears Nick Massey. He's going to work to the outside of Fody, but Fody slams the door going into 3.
Yeah, Nick Massey definitely stacked up that inside lane, but it kind of works out for him. He's able to get to the top and kind of hold on to 5th place. It unintentionally opened the door for him to get back in that high side.
Good work there for Nick Massey, as Tate Lytle is the car there, able to get to the inside of RC Anderson. Anderson kind of bobbled up in front of Seth Rawls. That checked up Gavin Hibbs. That checked up Johnny Thomas. It's all behind Scott Crump running 6th. Then it's Lytle in 7th. And Lytle has not had a particularly good restart since he was the race leader a little bit ago. The battle is for the lead up front. It is Ethan Burrell going after Jonathan Cutlip.
There
He's
you
gonna
see
get the lead.
Yeah, there's the battle. Ethan Burrell working the high side in that number 37. He will get out front, and Tyler Fody, oh buddy, he had the run, and Jonathan Cutlip kind of closed the door on, but this time there is no closing that door. Tyler Fody will be able to get around. Maybe not. Here he will. There we go.
There
now Tyler Fody gets 2nd place.
Yeah, Fody is very, very quick on the fresh tires. When he's even with these guys, this 40 car is awful fast. And as you'll note, one of our Ethans has disconnected from the lobby. And when you've got 3 wins, I think like it's probably okay to not try to spend 450 laps trying to play catch up there. I think Ethan Stanley's pretty comfortable with taking a slight hit in the points with his first bad race of the season, and he might lose the points lead to this car right here in the purple, but I think he'll be okay with that.
Yeah, about the worst he can fall tonight is 3rd, even with retiring early. It would take Fody will more than likely pass him as long as he doesn't have a bad race. Burrell would need a pretty good run, but he's having a pretty good run. He's having the best run at the moment, so good chance he also gets by if he can keep that up. But behind that, Tate Lytle 63 points back coming into tonight. I think the worst Stanley can do tonight is 3rd in points coming out of Bristol.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Ethan Stanley for sure, but ultimately that's having such a dominant season before this allows you to be more comfortable with having a bad race at a track like this with so much chaos and so much potential for a bad outcome that Stanley I think is going to be all right with the result, even though he obviously would prefer to be up here winning every single race. We're looking back at Chad Frankenfield, who has fallen all the way to 17th on the grid. Matthew Weeks has gotten... Oh, Chad's in the inside wall!
It does not look like he got the meatball.
Yeah, Chad just got loose. Oh, no, Jeff Green hit him.
Oh, he did not get loose. I was about to say, there was definitely contact.
He got loose before this. The car bobbled up the track on him, but he was straight. He was fine. And the 2-car turned a little bit harder off the. See, there's the bobble. And Chad moves up a lane. And the 2-car gets loose and comes down and just sends the 15 to the inside wall.
That's got to be a tough call for race control, I think, because especially from that head-on angle we had there with the Whiplash sim cam, you could see both cars were driving towards the seam.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard for race control to say one guy or the other did more to cause that incident, I believe.
Yeah, a couple of cases of guys pushing it on corner exit and losing control. I think Chad and Jeff would have different opinions, and they are going to give a tally to Jeff Green for the contact there. So Robert Hill deems the 2-car would have made the contact with the 15 regardless. I think that's probably a fair assumption, as Chad is going to have to take the pole-winning car down pit road, a tough break for Chad Frankenfield. And we switch over to the race leaders as Chad pits the 15. And you'll see what Zach was talking about, is Chad's probably going to lose 4 laps, maybe 5, and he's already going to be a lap down just from having hit the wall and gone slow. So we'll see what the real damage is from having to pit a car under green here with Chad Frankenfield.
Hearing somebody is blinking. It might have been Brent Jones. It is Brent Jones.
It is, yep.
Yep, that's him blinking right there in the 89 car.
And that is extremely disappointing. Brent was running on pace 12th on the track before this, and he's obviously checked the speed of that 89 as it's blinking, trying to keep it out of the way of the other drivers and hope that the connection comes back. There's not much Brent can do inside the car to prevent that. I've certainly run into my fair share of blinking issues, and you're just kind of along for the ride at that point.
Yeah, and it's definitely frustrating because, like you say, there's really nothing you can do inside the cockpit to alter the situation, but it's also very frustrating for everybody around you, and certainly it can even lead to incidents at a place like Bristol. As there we see Chad Frankenfield rejoining the racing surface, but I mean, we had that issue. I believe it was Monday night. I believe it was Monday night. One of the races this week where a car disappeared on a restart, came back, and it was Jay Connor. And when he rejoined the field, Jeff Green was inside his right rear on a restart. So that tore up a few cars.
Yeah, that'll do it. Chad Frankenfield 5 laps down, by the way, and Jeff Green has appealed the tally of the contact between the two of them.
You go, Jeff. Stick it to the man.
We watched this battle between Matthew Weeks and we're back to the battle for the lead between Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fode. And Fode's kind of stalking Ethan Burrell at this point. The 40 car applying pressure to the 37, but not forcing the issue right now, not trying to clear past. They're just kind of relaxed out front with a 3.5 second lead over Gavin Hibbs. Jonathan Cutlip has fallen to 4th. David Tooker runs 5th. Nick Massey sits in 6th. Seth Rawls having a good run there in 7th for Shift Esports. It's R.C. Anderson in 8th. Scott Crump and Tate Lytle rounding out your top 10.
I'll tell you, Tyler Fode hanging right with Ethan Burrell here. Well, that's not either Richie Hearn got loose or he doesn't know how pit road works. I'm not sure. We shouldn't see cars crossing the blue line ever. So hopefully he got loose to get down. He did get loose to get down there. That's allowed. That's not a penalty.
I will say I don't know that there was much looseness happening there. He ran into the 46 and then the 18 ran into him.
Yeah, I was very confused when I saw it, because that's why that blue line, it's not. That's one of the things that isn't there in real life. That's there to remind the drivers that when they make a pit stop, you got to stay below that line all the way around, even if it is under the green flag.
That's right. Jonathan Cutlip being bypassed by David Tooker. Cutlip fired off really well in this run, but he has fallen back pretty dramatically. This is the battle for 3rd. Gavin Hibbs in the 95 car currently has it. We have not seen Gavin Hibbs hit the outside wall, despite him running the outside in an outside lane dominant race. I am very proud of Gavin. Continuing on. You only have 350 more circuits to go.
Hey now. 338.
Close enough. You said there was no math.
Well, I cheat. I have the lap counter on my Stream Deck, so
there you go.
It does the math for me. I can read. I can't map.
Speaking of Zach's fancy technology, next caution we'll pull up how technologically advanced we are over here in the Evans cockpit.
Oh, are you trying to bring back the birth of the Wally space program?
Oh yeah, we'll get a little sneak preview for the viewers at home, as this race has taken on a bit of a green flag complexion. Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fode are kind of sitting up at the front of the field, and everybody else is sitting about 4 seconds off the pace there. R.C. Anderson does drive around Seth Rawls, who's fallen to the 9th position.
I would note Casey Hatch has left the lobby, but he hasn't been on the track in what scientists would call a long time. He's 139 laps down, so I don't think that's more of a formality at this point that Casey Hatch has decided he's tired of iRacing running on his computer.
Yeah. Hibbs has fallen back to 5th after I mentioned him. But yeah, Casey Hatch, involved in one of the early incidents there, nosed the 14 car into the fence. He was retired. Now it's just been set in stone as we continue to watch this battle for that 3rd position, with Tooker retired again. We got Tooker, we got Cutlip, we got Hibbs, we got Nick Massey running there in 6th. Been a good run for Nick Massey. I think we talked to him at one race earlier this year, but really it hasn't been one of the best seasons for this 48 car, and I know Nick Massey is eager to get back to victory lane in this 48. He's a guy that's won a lot of races. In fact, I think he's even won a championship in this series, but things have just been a little bit more difficult as they've developed this next-gen car, and this series has gotten a little bit more competitive around Massey. He has somewhat fallen back in terms of that true pace, but it's coming back a little bit tonight. This 48 car looks sporty.
My records do not indicate a Nick Massey championship. They do indicate 7.
500. It's the Daytona 500 that he won.
He has won a Daytona 500 among his 7 Cup Series victories. So, yeah, decent little race car driver.
Yeah, he's pretty solid. But it's been a minute for Nick Massey, as Chad Frankenfield has really been pressuring Tyler Fode quite a bit here, and he's trying to get one of his 5 laps back. I'm sure Chad's driving a little bit angry, given that he kind of got bumped into by the number 2 of Jeff Green, but he might open the door for Tyler Fode to take the race lead. They are 3 wide.
Oh.
And Chad bounces off of Ethan Stanley. That does open the door for Tyler Fode up top, but he might get locked in behind Andrew Rucker. No, Fode clears by Ethan Burrell. Our new leader, number 40, Tyler Fode, and I'm sure Ethan Burrell is not particularly thrilled with the driver of the 15.
They're definitely exchanging information in the voice chat right now. It's a tough situation all around, but certainly Ethan Burrell not happy with how that played out in the 37 car.
I think Tyler was a little bit faster, just could not find a way around, and Burrell was defending the outside lane very well. Obviously, when they came up on Andrew Rucker, who has been just running the outside lane pretty regularly, they were having to move around, and ultimately, because Chad was also on the fresher tires, he was able to make a hole for Tyler Fode to get on by Ethan Burrell. And there's Rucker giving Burrell a little love.
Oh, sorry, look on my screen. Josh Clark got out of shape in some traffic, but he's fine.
There is a massive battle back by Ty McIntosh, Ryan Gable, Johnny Thomas. These guys are all stacked up right now. Gerald Campbell's in this mess. Dustin Dewar's in this mess. Ryan Schold, Brent Jones, Michael Goodman.
And not all of those cars are for position. You've got some lead lap cars mixed in with some lap down cars. It is a bona fide hornet's nest right here of different guys, different agendas, different strategies, probably different car statuses. I'm sure some of these guys are a little more beat up than others. Everybody trying to get everything they can get. Oh boy, I thought that was about to be a ship for Ryan Gable off of turn 2. Got tight and had to check up in front of Ty McIntosh.
Yep. Those guys not teammates in this series. They do work together as teammates in other series. So Ty cutting Gable a bit of a break, and if that's from team car to team car, I think Ty's all right with that. He might have some choice words for Gable next time they run together. Just behind that, I hesitate to do it. Michael Goodman's having a really good run there in 19th. In the 44 car. It's not clean. I think he's been involved in a couple of incidents, but it's running. He's picked up a bunch of spots from his starting spot of 35th. And you see that 16 car alongside. That's the first time we've seen this paint scheme from Jordan Owens. I believe Jordan said he had gotten a sponsor, but they hadn't made him the paint scheme yet. So he had been running the scheme we had seen all year. Jordan Owens is 9th in points right now. Having an incredible start to the season.
Yeah, it's been a strong season. We talked about this last time out with Jordan Owens, and trying to continue that this evening. Staying out of trouble so far for the most part. You know, nothing spectacular, but it's kind of like we were talking before the race. If you can even just finish on the lead lap in the Decor Depot Bristol night race, there's a good chance you're going to finish in the top 10. Just on that alone.
Yeah, you guys don't even understand. That was Zach just nailing the name of the race. That was a big moment, I think, tonight.
This was a turning point in the night, I do believe.
Zach just nailed it. He struggled with Decor Depot, and we appreciate them as a sponsor, but the alliteration creates a little bit of frustration when trying to announce it with a dry mouth, having talked for a couple of other hours. It certainly winds up being a bit difficult, but Zach nailed it, and I'm very proud.
Boy, that was the highlight of my night so far.
The highlight of Tyler Fode's night is not occurring right now. He's been caught by Jonathan Cutlip, and he is in the hornet's nest we were just describing. Chad Frankenfield ran up on it. Tyler Fode is now here. I think Ty McIntosh might have gotten the wall at some point and really hurt this 35 car, because the guys behind him are Josh Clark and Michael Goodman. They can't really pull off the top of the racetrack right now to get around Ty. And so Ty is kind of stopping up this group, and Tyler Fode ran up on it, and he has, he's had to find his way on the bottom of the racetrack right now. And those are guys trying to stay in the lead lap. Goody trying to get Ty McIntosh. Come on, go. But I think that 35, a little bit damaged on the right front. Oh, Goody's in the wall.
And not for nothing, Jonathan Cutlip in second place now. He's right behind Tyler Fode. I mean, we were talking about earlier, Ethan Burrell being up there. He's not anymore. He's fallen a considerable ways back, and now it's Jonathan Cutlip applying the pressure. I nailed Decor Depot, and now I can't say the rest of the words. Applying the pressure to Tyler Fode as they try to get through this traffic.
And now they're side by side in front of David Zecker. David Zecker behind. Goody got into Ty McIntosh. They're still stacked up right at Ty McIntosh here. Fode and Cutlip are through. Tooker, Crump, Hibbs, Massey. Those are your lead lap cars in this group. McIntosh and Goody 1 lap down. I think Hosack is 1 lap down as well in the 24 car. They are struggling mightily right now with traffic, and up front, Jonathan Cutlip working to the inside of Tyler Fode. We don't have double screens, but the battle is on for the race lead.
By the way, track temp, 90 degrees. This long green flag racing continuing to heat up this racing surface. Those old tires are getting real ornery right now, but you see these guys battling for the lead while negotiating this traffic, fighting all of that and each other for the top spot here at Bristol.
Tell you what, you watched that night race at Bristol the other night, I'm sure, and I don't know if you guys were like me, but it was pretty dang boring. This looks like a Bristol race right here. It's Jonathan Cutlip to the outside of Tyler Fode. He's going to get the race lead in the outside lane, I believe.
Is he? Where's he going to go?
There's a lot of traffic in front of him. Well, we'll see. He's going 3 wide is what he's doing. Jonathan Cutlip making the bold move. He got it, I think. Oh, no, he didn't. They're still side by side. Fode battling Cutlip hard. Cutlip working through the middle of the track to bypass Tyler Fode, but he will get the lead.
I didn't see how he was going to make that work, but he's threaded the needle, found the way around Tyler Fode. New leader 5 car, Jonathan Cutlip, but he's kind of in the same prison Tyler was now. He's got to find his way through the traffic.
Yeah, he does, and David Tooker's now right on the back bumper of Tyler Fode, so it's Scott Crump right on the back bumper of David Tooker. Those guys moving forward here, but I tell you what, this feels like an old Bristol race, an old Martinsville race. The leader getting caught in lap traffic, getting caught by the drivers behind. It's not a clean air fest. It's not a one car dominating all. It is all about tire management. It's all about driver skill, negotiating lap traffic. Tyler Fode struggling with that a little bit more than Jonathan Cutlip is right now, and that's opened up the door for Jonathan Cutlip to take the race lead. And we mentioned it a couple of times when he was leading at Darlington, but Jonathan Cutlip needs a race win badly. He is probably too far back to point his way in. A stage win here at lap 250, that would go a long way.
It certainly would go a long way. As you mentioned, trying to get back to the winner's circle. It's been close to a year at this point. It might be exactly a year. I'd have to look up the date of his win it. I believe it was Talladega in the 2023 BC.
Josh Personette into the wall right in front of Cutlip. Cutlip's going to make contact with Mike DeWalt.
We're good. There's Personette.
Did that damage the 5 car at all? I definitely see a little bend on the front fenders of the Jonathan Cutlip machine. There's definitely a crinkle there.
Yeah. Oh, and right up to the 10 car of Nick and Delicato.
It still seems fast. That car is still rolling, but yeah, that was a very sketchy moment there as I think Racimus got the wall in front of DeWalt, and he ran right in the back of Mike DeWalt. Actually, it was in Delicato that got the wall, and yeah, Cutlip went right into the back of Mike DeWalt. Tyler Fode again trapped on the bottom.
Yep, he's stuck in this traffic, and Chris Wright bouncing off the wall in front of him. Tyler Fode's got David Tooker and Scott Crump right behind him, as he has now for probably 10 or 15 laps. Trying to figure out how to get through this traffic, and of course right in front of him, Chad Frankenfield. He's on those fresher tires where he had pitted for repairs, and he's able to just stay fast enough to just kind of stay in the way of these guys. I'm sure it's frustrating, but Chad's got to run his race too. He's fighting to salvage as much as he can out of this night, and that's kind of the situation these guys are in at the moment.
We have lost Josh Personette to retirement. That 18 car had bounced off of a few different walls tonight, unfortunately, and a tough break for Personette as David Tooker to the outside of Tyler Fode, and Fode's teammate Scott Crump will also make the move to the outside, and they'll try to pin Fode on the bottom of the racetrack behind Chad Frankenfield. And Frankenfield helped Fode get the lead originally on Ethan Burrell, but it has not maintained that way. It's 3 wide underneath Kyle Hanshaw goes David Tooker and Scott Crump, and Tooker and Crump second and third will clear through this. Hanshaw into Fode.
They got through it. Hanshaw quick with the apology on the voice chats. I think he just got a little out of shape on corner exit there. Fortunately, no further damage there. Scott Crump was flirting with the wall there, challenging David Tooker for second.
You're really seeing who saved their tires. I think Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell specifically really overcooked their stuff, working for that race lead early in this run, and it has cost them fairly dearly. Now Jonathan Cutlip was saving his stuff early in that run. He has worked his way all the way back to the race lead by 1.5 seconds, and then these two guys right behind David Tooker. Scott Crump. Tooker's a former winner here at Bristol. Crump is a notorious strong short track racer in this Elite Cup series, and I am not surprised in the least that Scott Crump is having a good night so far.
For these leaders, Dave, how long has this run been? How many laps in are we here?
That's for you, Huck.
The pit strategy's not there. It goes.
Oh, Tooker into Crump.
Ooh.
There's pit strategy. We're at 97, it looks like.
Yep.
97.
97.
So I don't think to the point yet where you'd start seeing some tire failure issues, but definitely getting longer and longer into this run. Well, I say that. I just saw a meatball pop up for the 35, but that might have been damage related.
Yeah, he's been in the wall a bunch of times. Has Ty McIntosh a very, very tough night so far for Ty. He's going to bring the 35 down to pit road here as Tooker loose on the bottom of the racetrack. That might open the door up for Tyler Fode up top. As Scott Crump is going to scurry away with that second spot, but they have been losing time to Jonathan Cutlip. The 5 car has really gone on a run in this green flag stint. He has put up to 15th place, 1 lap down. Jordan Owens now the last car on the lead lap, and trying to recall, what was Gerald Campbell's over-under of cars remaining on the lead lap before the race?
Over-under was 12 and a half. 12 and a half.
We're inching towards it. We've had a nice long green flag run here where the leader has been able to put some of these cars 1 lap down. We've seen a number of mistakes made by some of these lead lap cars, like, Chad Frankenfield and Jeff Green making contact, and it's sent a couple of guys back to one plus laps down. And all of that makes it much more difficult for a guy like Ryan Gable, who's sitting right here in front of Scott Crump, to get any of that time back after he got involved in that wreck. He needed some cautions in order to get back in the lead lap. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get those.
Jesse Racimus was on pit road with a meatball. It seems like we're getting more and more where these guys are having to run right on the edge, especially on the older tires, maybe going to the high side to let faster cars by, and then they just get into the wall a little too hard, and that's all it takes, right? So more and more guys running into that issue.
Yeah, and just remember, right, Racimus is 9 laps down, but he's still out here. If these guys stay out there, we're going to get some attrition. Some guys are not going to be interested. Oh, man, we might get some more wrecks, too. Gable got run into by Mike DeWalt. Trey Holmes into the wall right in front of David Tucker and Tyler Fode. But we are going to get some more incidents just like that. We're going to get some guys retiring their car. They don't want to run 5 laps down, and attrition may get you a lot of spots here tonight. It's possible for you to make up a lot of time even if you're not on the lead lap.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the kind of night that you want to stay out and get every lap you can, because you don't know where that's going to put you in the final running order. It's one of those nights where you might be 10 laps down and still get a top 15. So just gotta have to stick with it and see how the night unfolds. Boy, that was close there between Scott Crump and Trey Holmes, who is a lap down, but definitely one of the faster cars a lap down on the track. He's got to see if he can maybe chase down Jonathan Cutlip. He's got a long ways to go, but definitely faster than at least the second place car at the moment. There you see Andrew Rucker go by as well. He's been to pit road.
Yeah, Rucker's been to pit road. Worth noting that Tate Lytle is up to 5th place in the 56. He is right on the back bumper of Tyler Fode. David Tucker on the back bumper of Scott Crump. So Pro Edge Toyota's working over those Lake Norman Chevrolets at the moment for both 2nd and 4th. There's Johnny Thomas. Johnny is 1 lap down. He is the first car 1 lap down in 16th, although Trey Holmes right on his back bumper.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's your lucky dog battle as they sit right now. Obviously, that's going to be constantly in flux as Jonathan Cutlip catches more cars to lap. But as they sit right now, that is your battle for the free pass if we were to get a caution.
Trey might be able to take advantage of Tucker pinning Johnny to the bottom. Move Trey Holmes into that lucky dog spot. There's the battle. Just behind Scott Crump and David Tucker, and it might be moot here in a few seconds. Cutlip has come up to the back bumper of Jordan Owens and Justin Fortner. So he will, as Cutlip tries to put Jordan Owens and Fortner a lap down. Matthew Weeks, Ryan Schold there as well. Any of those guys go a lap down, that battle between Holmes and Thomas, it goes away.
Yep, yeah, you can see right there the battle that could soon be for your free passes. Jonathan Cutlip kind of stacked up at the moment, can't go anywhere. Andrew Rucker, again, we mentioned he's got the fresher tires. He's been on pit road. He's also trying to work his way through this, while guys like Jordan Owens are trying to stay on the lead lap in case that caution comes out.
Right, you just don't want to be the caution if you're Jordan Owens or Justin Fortner or Matthew Weeks right here. And that's certainly a possibility the way things are running. As Cutlip, you can tell on that ticker up to your top left, under that belly up Cup Series logo and the Decor Depot logo, Jonathan Cutlip's time, the advantage. No! Oh, they're wrecking right in front. There it is, Justin Fortner. Oh, the caution is not out.
No caution.
There might be one in the checkup here.
So that was Justin Fortner and Jesse Racimus coming together. Fortner now a lap down, and of course.
Oh man! As we watched the incident between, that looked like netcode to me. I don't think
Harder
Jesse
to say from that angle.
I don't think Jesse turned down the track in the middle of the straightaway to hook the 26 on purpose. Fortner there's the caution.
Now we do have Tate Lytle.
Oh, is
Lytle
Tyler Fode involved in this?
Position.
No?
I can't. I don't know that.
He's not. He was running right with Tate Lytle. That is the underside of the stands. Let's take a look on the Mark Rebelas replay. See what happened to Tate Lytle in the 56. Remember, Richie Hearn had checked up for that wreck. Kyle Hanshaw checked up for that. It looks like Tate tried to run up the track and got clipped by Mike DeWalt.
Yeah, Tate would definitely be expecting the 20 of Mike DeWalt to be closer to the fence there. It was not. So Tate goes for a spin here. And that brings out the caution with we've got 259 laps to go as they stand right now. I have to imagine it's about to be a driver's meeting on pit road.
I think there will be no Justin Fortner or Josh Clark this time. I think everybody will be hitting pit road for tires and fuel. Tate Lytle doesn't look like the damage is going to be too bad on Tate Lytle's car. I think there'll be a loss of track position, but I think that 56 is still in the running for this one. He joins all of the race leaders in coming down pit road. The one guy that this definitely helps is Justin Fortner. And Tate does get the tally for the incident, as Fortner will get back in the lead lap. As the lucky dog, Jordan Owens will get back in the lead lap. As that first car that did not get lapped by Jonathan Cutlip under that green flag run. Where did our 5 car go? Oh, you know what? He was fixing damage. Was Jonathan Cutlip when he ran into the back of the 20 car.
Yeah.
So Cutlip fixes damage. I think that all buffed out. I think they got that thing as it was.
He was in about 14 seconds longer.
Yeah. Tate has appealed the tally he received. So David Tooker will obtain the race lead here.
And we're gonna be fighting for stage points on this restart too. Oh, by the way.
Yes, we will. And Tooker's got a couple of Lake Norman Chevys directly behind. Scott Crump and Tyler Fode will be second and third. Nick Massey will restart fourth here. Justin Wadsworth will restart fifth. He's had a very good run tonight. R.C. Anderson will restart sixth after being involved in one of our early cautions. Gavin Hibbs will restart seventh. Jonathan Cutlip, after fixing the damage, will restart in eighth. He's still got a very good shot at grabbing some of those stage points, but I think it's more important for Jonathan Cutlip to try and win this race. I think that car is fairly well back in points after having disconnected from a couple of races earlier in the season.
Looked like quite a few cars took the wave around there.
Yeah, I think a few of them had been already down pit road. Ty McIntosh, Mike DeWalt, among a few others.
Well, we'll see what happens here on the restart.
Pace car is off. David Tooker on the outside lane. He will get going early. Tyler Fode and Scott Crump are bottled up, and now Nick Massey's going to have a chance to run second here.
Off of turn 2, you see David Tooker out front. Nick Massey up to second.
They're 3 wide for 8th, right around Ethan Burrell. Tooker up, but Massey second, Crump third, Anderson fourth, Fode fifth. 3 laps till the stage. That'll happen in 45 seconds.
Oh, it's not going to take long with the laps they turn here, especially on these fresh tires at Bristol. Jonathan Cutlip trying to hang on for every point he can get here. Josh Adams going to get to the outside, though, in turns 3 and 4.
Josh Adams showing off some speed in the 22 car. He's figured it out here tonight, and he's up past Cutlip for 6th spot. Coming around to the final lap of the stage, David Tooker, Nick Massey, Scott Crump, the top 3. I don't think anyone's going to challenge David Tooker before the end of this lap. Massey's going to have to settle for second, Crump for third. The battle is here for that 7th spot between Wadsworth and Cutlip.
Watching this battle, David Tooker will win the stage. And Nick Massey's closing in on, obviously not going to be in there in time for the stage win, but Nick Massey's closing in on that 19 car.
Yeah, he is running it hard. And now Massey shoots to the top of the racetrack. Nick Massey's going to look for the race lead here at Bristol. Tooker kind of pulled over for him. I think Tooker's trying to save the tires. He knew after we saw what happened that last run, that 19 car, he knows he needs to save the tires here and try and stay at the end for this run. Scott Crump coming up on the back bumper of David Tooker as Nick Massey scurries away with the race lead. A very conscious decision here from David Tooker to back the pace down once he got that stage win.
R.C. Enerson, well, I was about to say he was hunting down these guys in front of him, but now you see Scott Crump to the outside of David Tooker looking for that second spot. He's going to pick up the position. R.C. Enerson's going to be the next one to try and get around David Tooker, who, as you mentioned, may be saving those tires a little bit in the 19 car, but R.C. Enerson picking them up at the moment.
And with this big lead, Nick Massey's able to just drive the bottom of the racetrack right now, and we are already going to get into lap traffic. The guys who stayed out trying to hope for that quick caution from the racing for the stage, they are not going to have a good time. Massey has to check up for Mike DeWalt on the bottom. That's going to cost him his entire lead.
Yeah, there you see that time DeWalt going to the high side to let those fast cars by. I think it caught Massey by surprise. He didn't do that the lap before, but it's hard to guess when you're going so fast here.
Yeah, and so much faster than these guys on old tires who stayed out for the stage. Adams runs up in front of Fody, almost causes the wreck because they were trying to get out of Chad's way. Chad's got right side damage on that and left side damage on that 15 car. Now he gets in front of Justin Wadsworth and holds him up. Brent Jones has bailed for pit road. He's seen enough.
Yeah, this is everybody, just a wide spread of speeds. Like you said, some of the guys out there on the older tires and versus these leaders on fresh tires. It's quite the disparity we have at the moment. It's creating some really sketchy situations.
Corey Abbott and Johnny Thomas are battling for the lucky dog, as is Nick and Delicato. That's why those guys are all up here. Amongst Tate Lytle in the top 10. Delicato to the outside of Chad Frankenfield. Now it's Burrell's turn to deal with the 15 car. Up front is still Nick Massey, Scott Crump, David Tooker, and Enerson. Tyler Fody, the main loser in that sequence. He drops from 4th to 6th.
There you see the leader, Nick Massey, lead about 0.8 of a second at this point.
He's picking up that time on the bottom of the racetrack. He's doing a really good job.
Now we look at let's see, that's Jonathan Cutlip and Gavin Hibbs. Gavin Hibbs is picking up the 8th position. Johnny Thomas is not a lead lap car.
He is the lucky dog holder at the moment.
He is the lucky dog holder at the moment. Right.
He's holding off the 10 and the 21 right behind. And he's showing some pace, is Johnny Thomas, and he's certainly hoping for a quick yellow here to get back on the lead lap.
And that's sometimes you just need that lucky break, right? Oh boy, with some more chaotic action. I'm trying to keep up with 2 or 3 different screens, and we got about 3 wides in one corner that I'm looking at. Probably not too far ahead of these guys. It's just, again, these huge speed disparities. They're catching guys like Richie Hearn, Chad Frankenfield at some really tough spots. As now we look at R.C. Enerson, Josh Adams. That's a battle for the 4th position. There you see some of these slow cars on those older tires and how they're trying to just hang on here as Richie Hearn, Chad Frankenfield side by side with Jesse Racimus catching up to both of them. And now Jesse's got to bounce it off the wall here, but get by.
Jesse's
and by the way, Nick Massey is about to catch them and put them another lap down. He was just at the tail of that shot.
Here he is. Yep. So I would say the stay out strategy at the stage worked okay if the caution comes out quick, but as it stands now, Chad's lost a lot more laps. Mike DeWalt's lost a lot more laps. It's kind of gotten a lot worse for those guys. And it's cost some other guys some track position. This group of 3 right here, Owens, Schuld, Matthew Weeks, they got held up by all of this and are now in the clutches of being lapped by Nick Massey.
Yeah, this is about as wild of a situation as I've ever seen in terms of just how much difference we're seeing between guys that normally are relatively close to each other on pace. It's looking an awful lot like that spring race in the real world, but car around. Mike DeWalt on the back stretch. That will bring out the caution.
As long as Johnny Thomas wasn't in it, that's what he was looking for, but Johnny got passed by Nick and Delicato at some point. I think it's going to be Nick and Delicato that gets this. The lucky dog here. Looks like the leaders finally got Mike DeWalt at a time where...
Yeah.
Josh Adams kind of finishes him off. Oh, that's going to be damage for Tyler Fode. That's not good.
No, and he might get Brent Jones here. I'm not sure.
I am certain Tyler Fode's not particularly happy with Mike DeWalt. I think Fode's probably mad at Josh Adams, but he's a lot madder at Mike DeWalt for having put him in that position.
Well, I'm admittedly coming from the perspective you already heard earlier in the race. After any long run, I want the tires, I want the fuel. I get they were in a situation where they were hoping to catch that quick caution. They had taken the wave around. Considering how important the tires are here, I feel like discretion is stay the lap down, take the tires, try to find a different way to get the lap back. Because now you've instead lost 2 or 3 laps. You've done even more damage to the cause. And by the way, in the case of Mike DeWalt and probably even some of the other guys who didn't cause incidents, you've really just annoyed a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, I think, at some point, is it more worth it to, battle for the top lap down car in this race, which very, very possibly could be 10th place or 9th place in this race, right? And ultimately, you might get lucky and get that lap back, but by staying in a spot where you can get the lap, staying in a spot where you can just stay 1 or 2 laps down and battle for that top lap or 2 lap down car, you're in a spot where it's all right. And ultimately, race control does deem that Josh Adams is responsible for checking up. I know Robert can hear us, and I don't know that I agree, Robert, but you're the man, and I yield to you. Did Nick Massey speed on pit road? Did Scott Crump speed on pit road?
Well, and you got to pay attention to that. Unfortunately, it does show on the screen whether the pit exit. You always hear about whether pit entrance is open or closed. Very rarely do you hear a conversation about pit exit being open or closed, but it's on the screen. It's something you've got to pay attention to.
Josh Adams does throw the appeal on his tally for that incident. And a short note for our viewers: the tally can only be rescinded. It cannot be changed hands. I don't know that I would have put the tally on Adams, but Sim penalized all leaders for passing under yellow. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I don't know what that means.
I don't know who they were passing. Green flag's back out. Jonathan Cutlip, the race leader, he stayed out. So did Justin Fortner. And they are going to be swarmed by angry drivers on fresh tires. Here's Josh Adams, 3 wide around Justin Fortner. Fortner blocks off R.C. Anderson. Now he goes to the top of the track to block off Justin Wadsworth. I don't think either of those guys are going to be real thrilled. Oh, he lost it on the bottom. RC's going to collect a Lytle. Oh, big hit for Jordan Owens as well.
Dustin Dewar's in it.
There's the quick yellow that Mike DeWalt and Chad Frankenfield were looking for. Just one caution too late. That looked pretty evident that was on the 50 car right there. He bobbled it up off the bottom of the racetrack and wound up losing control.
That'll be his second tally.
And yeah, that would be the first, I believe, driver of our group here to get removed from the lobby. Looks like Tate got hit by Hibbs trying to avoid the 50, and Tate and Weeks going to get a little bit of damage, but not a ton. And then, yeah, Owens piles into this. And yeah, there's Anderson's second tally. He will be parked for the remainder of this race.
I can't imagine that either of those are appealable in his eyes either. It's hard to argue. No, I didn't get loose here.
Right.
I did hear Robert say those are his first 2 tallies of the whole season.
I was about to say very uncharacteristic evening for R.C. Anderson. One of the absolutely fastest guys here when he shows up here in Elite. Not somebody we usually see on a full-time basis, but definitely not the kind of night we see typically from the real world racer R.C. Anderson.
Yeah, for sure. He's usually one of the guys you feel very safe racing around, but I'm going to chalk that one up to Bristol, right? That's a Bristol thing.
Yeah.
This is a tough track to race. It's a tough track to race around other people, and it's even tough for guys who run it in real life and race cars in real life and are extremely talented. Here's the rest of this incident. Ty McIntosh, Dusty Dewar come together late in the caution under the checkup. This is after Owens has already made contact with the 50. And I think no harm, no foul for the rest of the incidents there. We've got 2 to green. Do we have any more ads we need to put together?
Hold on. And do some reads here. Pull those up. I think I got a couple of premier sponsors here left to read. Of course, we've already done the series sponsor and we've done the race sponsor, but our premier sponsors are Rev Up your business with Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. 4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D sim racing shoes are custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in no way no other racing shoe can, and still provide all the comfort needed for those double and triple stits. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet.
All right. Field doubled up, getting ready to get back going here at Bristol.
Jonathan Cullip is out on older tires. Josh Adams to his inside. He has fresh tires. So too does Justin Wadsworth, running 4th on the outside. And he'll be in the lane with the leader. That should be an advantage for Wadsworth. He does fire off well and give Justin Wadsworth 2nd spot here. And Wadsworth going to be looking to hunt down Jonathan Cullip on that old rubber. See if we can get the cameras back going. They are racing, I promise. They are. Wadsworth clears by Josh Adams. Jonathan Cullip again does have about 20 laps on his 5 car, so see if Wadsworth can fire it up here and gain some ground on the Cullip machine.
There you see Wadsworth trying to get away from Josh Adams, but man, Josh Adams has really got it hooked up on the high side at the moment. Although he gave up a little bit of ground on the exit of 2 that time. That may be just what Justin Wadsworth needed to at least set his sights forward for a couple of laps.
And Wadsworth kind of using that almost the dirty air blocking that we see in real life, but just kind of keeping the wake over the front of that 22 car, keeping it a little bit tighter and keeping it behind him now as Wadsworth setting his sights on Jonathan Cutlip up at the front of the field. Now Adams cuts to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll try to get the clean air on the bottom. He rides up the racetrack next to Jonathan Wadsworth, but they remain side by side off of turn 4. Wadsworth holding on to second for now, but Adams on the charge at the moment in the, we'll call it the 22 car.
It is allegedly the 22 car. 22-ish. As now we have the battle for the lead. Jonathan Cutlip inside. Justin Wadsworth outside. Can the 6 car get to the front? Yes, it can.
Justin Wadsworth, the race leader. Now can Wadsworth get to that line to lead a lap? He will. Bonus point for Justin Wadsworth. Another one of those Lake Norman Chevys. He will be the leader at the caution here. I immediately check because Johnny Thomas is the car to receive the lucky dog, and he will get it finally. Corey Abbott got it last time. Johnny Thomas gets the lucky dog this time. And let's find out what the caution was for on that Mark Robilus replay camera.
We got 3 wide here.
Heck, this can't end well.
No, it did not. It's going to end with Dustin Newer headed towards the inside wall on the back stretch. He's got to catch the wall. Is he going to go back up the track? He sure is. I don't like this for Leighton Norgard or Jesse.
No. That might be the end of the night for the 70 car. That thing has been through quite a bit tonight.
Well, if we stay with the replay on the 70 car here, I think if that didn't finish it, the next thing did.
He hit the 12, or does he keep going?
He keeps going. The 70 car does. And then he's got to try to make pit road, but I think the damage made that a little more difficult than he was.
He hit the barrels?
He may not have made pit entrance when he got around to the other side of the racetrack.
We'll have to get a shot of Jesse Racines. Plowing into the pit
right
barrels.
There he was. Actually, I don't know if he bothered to go around all the way. Yeah.
Poor Jesse Racines.
Frustrating night for sure.
Mm-hmm. Jordan Owens has fallen 11 laps down. Not entirely sure what happened to the driver of the 16 car, who is sitting 9th in points, but it went from a pretty good day to a pretty bad one. See if we can get that replay going here for
how long did it take him to get to the pit barrels?
Well, it's Racines, yeah.
Okay. My bad. All those bright cars look alike. Okay. There you go.
There he is.
There might have been another incident here.
I'm actually starting to wonder if the car I saw was Racines at all, because the car I saw... Well, we'll see.
I think it was Racines.
Okay. All right. Because I think right here he turns left even though he's on the wrong end. Yep. Nope. This is him. Boink.
And that'll end the night for Jesse Racines. We got any more sponsors, Dave? We'll go on board with Racines with that car not really turning. He might have just decided to end it.
We have covered them all, but let's run the iRacing ad. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.
Back underway here at Bristol as you see The restart there, a little bit of a stack up on that bottom lane. That allows Justin Wadsworth to get out front. Gavin Hibbs running into second spot. Battle for third right now. 56 of Tate Lytle, 22-ish of Josh Adams. Now Ethan Burrell will get to the outside of Adams in that number 37 car as they make their way around turns 3 and 4. 300 laps down, 200 to go here at Bristol.
Guys, don't wait for nobody.
No, absolutely not. As a little bit of a blink there from Jonathan Cutlip running in that 6th position. He's got to challenge Tate Lytle here.
That's not what you want to see if you're a Jonathan Cutlip fan. That car has run into some of those blinking issues in the past this season, and it's resulted in a disconnection for that 5 car. So you're just hoping it was just a one-time thing, and he's able to keep it going and keep it in this race, because he's got a very fast car when he's on the same strategy as the race leaders.
And it's definitely, he still has a fast car. Now we're watching this battle for the lead heat up. Gavin Hibbs going after Justin Wadsworth, and Josh Adams occupied about 3 different lanes at once there and somehow never hit anything.
Gavin Hibbs working that inside lane. Adams with the big bobble on corner exit of turn 2. All of it's behind Justin Wadsworth, who's holding off these guys for the race lead right now, but at Hibbs down to the inside of the 95, trying to take the lead back. He's led already tonight, but it was a while ago, back in that first 50-lap stint.
Surely Adams isn't thinking 3 wide for the lead here, is he?
He might be. Josh Adams isn't running this series for points.
That's fair. He definitely had a peak to the outside there when Wadsworth moved down about a car lane. Not really a space for it right now, but I think if he opens that up again, Adams will not hesitate to stick it in there.
Yeah, that's kind of a Josh Adams tendency, right? He's very aggressive, very, very sharp with his race moves, and currently just biding his time right here in 3rd spot, looking for a way around the 6 of the 95. He's going to try the outside.
No, couldn't get there.
Justin Wadsworth slams the door on the front straightaway. Adams still trying to run that upper lane. He's getting a bigger run than Wadsworth is too, coming off of the corner, but you have to wonder if a little bit of that is Wadsworth's having some tentativeness because the 95 is still alongside it.
Yeah, definitely. Neither of those cars can use all of the racetrack right now. Josh Adams can, but obviously that changes as soon as Adams joins this battle for the lead. And man, this is just really good racing we're seeing from our leaders right now.
That was a lead change at the line. Gavin Hibbs took it over from Wadsworth, but Wadsworth has that run and a hit. Adams slams the 6 car into the corner. It's almost a bump draft at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I was about to say a bump draft at Bristol. You don't see that all the time, but surely that's exactly what was on Josh Adams' mind.
Adams into the wall.
How did he hang on to that car?
Adams driving this thing very aggressively. And don't look now, but P4, one of our Ethans. Ethan Burrell has moved up to 4th in that 37. He is stalking the race lead.
Now these 2 guys resetting. Now, was Gavin Hibbs able to save a little bit of tire running the bottom, or did he use up tire trying to keep up with Justin Wadsworth? Right now, it looks like they are closing that gap back in.
I think the 95 is just a little bit quicker than Wadsworth is right now. That's certainly something that can change here. And the 22 was... Adams was fast. It seems like Adams has really good pace, but he's maybe a little inconsistent with some of those corner exits, and those are kind of costing him the track position because every now and again he bobbles.
Yeah, it's possible he has the fastest car, or at least is setting the fastest pace out of these 3 guys up front at the moment. Now he's got to get alongside Gavin Hibbs again. That battle for second will pick back up. He's got clear Gavin Hibbs that time out of turn number 4. And once again, he's got to see if he can set up Justin Wadsworth for a pass for the lead.
And Wadsworth's playing a really good job defending, but
that's tight.
Adams runs it up the racetrack, and that forces Wadsworth to maybe run a bit of a different line. Lead change at the line for Josh Adams to take the race lead. Now Adams is going to have to figure out a way by this Lake Norman number 6 Chevy on the inside. That hasn't really worked so far. Wadsworth's been able to hold all comers back by running that middle lane. He'll hold Adams back here.
Well, now they'll switch it up, yeah.
Adams is going to try to get to the outside on Wadsworth. I think that's about his best bet to get around this 6 car, and Wadsworth's not running all the way up as high on the racetrack as Adams is, and that's kind of the open gap where Adams can actually put this 22 car. Just a matter of if he does get to the outside of Justin Wadsworth, does Wadsworth just go up the racetrack in front of him and block that off?
Yeah, Josh Adams looks again to the low side, but I think you're right. If it's got, boy, he sent it in there into turn number 3. Ultimately couldn't make it stick, but he's given Justin Wadsworth a lot to think about in that mirror, going high, going low. It's almost like watching Josh Adams is almost approaching this like they've covered Bristol back up in dirt, trying a different line every lap, trying to find something.
Yeah, that's that progressive banking. I think we've talked about it a little bit, but the way the inside is viable, the outside is viable. Both lanes are something you can utilize. I mean, Wadsworth's running a line I really haven't seen a lot of tonight. Kind of just the middle lane, right? He rides up the middle of the corner and then drives down off the center, and it seems to be a very great defensive line that Wadsworth's able to hold off cars setting faster paces for the race lead right now.
Now Josh Adams again looking to the inside, just can't seem to get that drive off the corner when he tries it, but boy, he is not shy about sticking it to the inside once he's there. He might be able to get alongside out of 4. No, he just can't get that drive off the bottom of the corner.
Yeah, the 6 car is really playing a very defensive line, and he's doing a really good job of holding it back. And you know, I want to say that's something the Lake Norman guys have worked really well on. They are very good defensive drivers. They're not going to wreck you, but just what Justin Wadsworth is doing right now is just driving his line, playing defense, running the preferred race line, and it's very difficult for other cars to get around him.
And it's good to note that, yes, it's defensive, but it's not aggressive, right? He's not blocking. He's not making erratic moves. Like you say, he's picked the line. He's running that line. He knows that line's going to make him difficult to pass. And that's really all you can ask for in this situation if you are a guy trying to pass him. It's obviously frustrating if you feel like you've got the faster car, but there's nothing Justin Wadsworth is doing here that's could even be dirty pool, right? He's just running his race and putting his car in a position where you're going to have to really work at it if you're going to pass it.
Right. And Wadsworth's a guy that, to my knowledge, I think you can probably double check me on this, does not have one of these Elite Cup Series wins. He won our ARCA Series last year and had made his move up. He was a rookie last year in this Cup Series, had not won a race. Now this year he's come close, finished second at Darlington, but he has not been able to pick up a win. And if driving defensively at Bristol is going to get it done, that's the way he's going to do it. And this defensive driving has opened it up for Gavin Hibbs to work his way back towards the second spot. He's on the inside of Josh Adams now, but it's not slowing down this 22 car any.
You mentioned that runner-up at Darlington. That was best career finish for Justin Wadsworth. 2 top 5 so far in his career in the Elite Cup Series. Also in the 2023 B season, got a 4th place finish over at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
He's had some good runs, but Wadsworth's had some really good runs, and ultimately, I think a win is coming. Right? If you're able to pace like this at a place like Bristol, I think you've got what it takes. It's just a matter of when, I think, for Justin Wadsworth. Before he falls out of the top 10, and while we've singled out this lead, I want to call out Corey Abbott, who had gotten back on the lead lap and driven up to 5th through some of the shenanigans on pit road. He's since fallen back to 10th and now 11th, but a really good run for Corey Abbott in the Terry Labonte throwback, number 21. Just a really strong run. Good to see him up front, and we'll see if Pork Chop Corey can get up there and steal himself a top 10 here tonight.
Yep, another good run for Corey Abbott as we turn our focus back to the battle for the lead. I know we have a driver in the infield care center here, David.
You do. Let's bring him up. I think that's probably a good time to do so, and let's talk to Ty McIntosh. A bit of a rough night for you, Ty. Take us through what happened out there for you, buddy.
Just normal Bristol, getting caught up in stuff that I felt like I couldn't really do much about. And then people not driving with their heads, and it's really unfortunate. I got called for a tally for not checking up into a wreck, which I'm gonna appeal that because I was doing everything I could. If I hit the brakes any harder, I'm gonna kill more cars. So, just really frustrated, really just tired of guys that drive like blind dogs every week. So, it's pretty frustrating.
10-4, buddy. And any shout outs here for us before we send you off?
Numbers by Joe, everybody that's on this 35 machine. They're the only thing that makes me want to finish out these races, even though I'm done for this one. Everybody at Shifty Sports, you guys put on the show. Just a rough night. Gonna go get something to eat and cope.
Sounds good, buddy. Have a good night for your tie, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate it.
Frustrated Ty McIntosh, but some things are shifting up here at the front of the field. You saw Gavin Hibbs go by Josh Adams while we talked to Ty McIntosh's frustrated self, and Hibbs seems like he did save those tires on that while he was running the bottom of the racetrack, and behind him, Josh Adams started to lose pace. Ethan Burrell has rocketed around him, and Ethan is starting to catch up to this front group, and that's bad news for anybody who's rooting for a non-Ethan to win this race.
Ethan Burrell indeed closing back in on these front two. Justin Wadsworth still holding on to that top spot, but there you see the difference. There you see how quickly Ethan Burrell is closing in on Gavin Hibbs in this battle for the lead.
It's, having watched this whole thing, it's pretty apparent to me that you can save your stuff on the bottom of the racetrack. Ethan Burrell is doing it. David Hooker is doing it. He's up to 5th right now. Tate Lytle's up to 6th. Tate's got some damage. Nick Massey also fell back on that strange passing under yellow shenanigan. He's up to 7th. Scott Crump's up to 8th. All of those guys have fresh tires. They've saved their stuff. They've run the bottom of the racetrack through this run. I anticipate that we'll see those guys battling for the race lead before the end of the night.
I think we've established that managing the tires very important on these long green flag runs we've been getting here now that we've kind of weeded through the early attrition, and it's got to take a little bit of a thinking man's game to be there at the end of this race. Certainly you still need to have the pace, but you got to be able to manage these tires as well. We look at Tyler Fody.
We got a battle for the lead. They're right in behind 3 wide. Oh, Wadsworth's going to lose the lead here. He's going to lose 2nd, too. Oh, man. Gavin Hibbs to the race lead. Wadsworth trapped up behind Mark Urbilas. Ethan Burrell cuts Justin Wadsworth a break. Lets him get up to get around the 96. Very gracious move by Ethan Burrell. And as Gavin Hibbs goes soaring around Andrew Rucker and Jordan Owens' lapped machines, Justin Wadsworth falls out of the race lead for the first time since the last restart.
And Justin Wadsworth still trying to get around that 16 car Jordan Owens. He'll be able to do it this time, and now he'll be up to Ethan Burrell to also make that move. And after that, you're going to have the front 3 pretty much nose to tail here. A little bit of an advantage for Gavin Hibbs at the moment. We'll see if he's able to pull away or if these 2 cars behind him are going to be able to close back in.
I talk about Jonathan Cutliff as a driver who really needs a win. What a driver that really needs a race win is Gavin Hibbs. He has been very unfortunate to start this season. A lot of incidents, a lot of wrecks, and Richie Hearn almost catches the Justin Wadsworth machine. But Gavin Hibbs for Shifty Sports has been in a lot of incidents this season. He's run up front quite a bit, but those have not turned into good finishes. He was down nearly last in points for a while. He's been able to rebound from that, but this is not a situation where he can point his way into the playoffs with just a few races remaining until that starts. He has got to win a race.
Yeah, Hibbs finished 3rd at Watkins Glen, but other than that, his best finish was a 17th at Dover. Just not the kind of season you'd normally expect from him. And like you say, it's really put him in a tough spot in the points. A win is almost a necessity, I believe, for him at this point. And right now he's in that spot, but 145 laps still to go here at Bristol.
Yep, long way to go, I think, still, but 145 laps, we can click that off pretty quickly if we stay green. Battle is still for 2nd, right behind Gavin Hibbs. It is Ethan Burrell and Justin Wadsworth, but I think you're going to give it to Burrell right here. Wadsworth going to try to make the ground up on the outside, but he does not. Ultimately gives Ethan the next-gen bump draft on a short track there, and that gave Ethan Burrell a huge run. He's going to run down Gavin Hibbs with that run.
Yeah, he is there, and he's got to try to cut to the inside here and challenge for that top spot. Can he make it stick on the bottom? He did better than I expected, but Gavin Hibbs able to get that run off the high side. Burrell sticking to the bottom. This might be a side-by-side battle for a little bit. They look about even here. Obviously, Hibbs is able to get the run out of the corner, but Burrell is making up so much ground on corner entry.
Yep, running that bottom lane to perfection is Ethan Burrell. And Ethan driving it in on the bottom. He's going to run up on a teammate right here, but Burrell a little bit loose on corner exit. That is going to allow Hibbs to drop to the bottom and try to pass Josh Clark down there. Clark bounces it off the fence and keeps it ahead of the 95.
You know, I'm surprised Hibbs wasn't a little more
aggressive. This might be a wreck.
To the bottom. He's left the door open. Now Ethan Burrell is there. This has got to be a battle for the lead as these two guys try to get around. They're 3 wide.
Josh Clark running that top lane, but a little bit of teamwork there. That's a Pro Edge car. He's going to run the lane that he knows the leader is preferring. And hard off the wall goes Josh Clark in front of Wadsworth. They hang on to it. Gavin Hibbs retains the lead.
It ended up working out for Gavin Hibbs, but definitely some anxious moments there as they worked around Josh Clark. Still, Gavin Hibbs leads the way over Ethan Burrell. Justin Wadsworth now about 0.6 of a second back on the leader, as soon they'll be catching up on another lapped car.
Yep, very quickly. And this is a big gaggle of lapped cars all behind. I think that's Trey Holmes. You got Brent Jones, Michael Goodman, Michael Hosack, Chad Frankenfield, Seth Rawls, all right in front of race leaders in the battle for the lead. Continuing on, Ethan Burrell and Gavin Hibbs will have to pick their way around these lapped cars very gingerly, because there have been some incidents tonight, I think, with some of these lapped cars and in this lap traffic, and we've seen some guys' races get ruined. Tyler Fody not back into the top 10 after that incident with the 20 car and Josh Adams. So it can ruin your race real quick picking through these lap traffic.
And look at this, is Gavin Hibbs. No, it kind of worked out. It wasn't. No, that's 3 wide until it's not. Brent Jones backs out of it, and I'm sure Gavin Hibbs is grateful for that. He's able to focus on getting around the 44 car of Michael Goodman, now the 25 car of Seth Rawls.
Next up is Chad Frankenfield and Trey Holmes, the 15 and the 88. And Hibbs clears through the traffic. That was a pretty good group there of lapped cars. Brent Jones wound up backing out, allowing these guys to race for the lead amongst themselves. The rest of the lappers stayed up top, stayed under control. That was a good section, but I'm sure there will be more as David Tucker works his way through this lap traffic now. He is on the back bumper of Justin Wadsworth for that 3rd spot. So David Tucker is coming towards this race lead. He's certainly got an opportunity to make a move here, because that 19 car has been saving tires on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, this 19 car closing in on Justin Wadsworth, and I think Tate Lytle might be able to close in on these guys too, but he's getting held up just a little bit there. But Michael Hosack, now he's got to be able to get by. They were kind of just boxed in with the way they caught traffic at the moment. Now Tate Lytle will be able to get around Hosack, maybe. And Nick Massey is right behind Tate Lytle as well.
Nick Massey has planted the 48 car in the tire tracks of the 56 for this entire run. It's been this way all the way. Ethan Burrell just got to the outside of Gavin Hibbs. He will get the race lead. Move Ethan Burrell up to the point. The Ethan domination. It's looking good if you bet on the Ethans.
Ethan Burrell now to the point. Gavin Hibbs 2nd. Justin Wadsworth 3rd as they work around some more of that traffic. A little bit of a respite here, but it's just got to be just around the corner. Some more traffic for these fellas.
Ethan Burrell has taken to the bottom of the racetrack to continue running this 37 car. He is trying to keep the tires underneath him, even despite grabbing the clean air in that race lead. Gavin Hibbs and Justin Wadsworth have each taken a turn to lead this race, but they have fallen back. David Tucker now on the back bumper of Justin Wadsworth, and he'll be hunting for that podium spot.
125 laps to go here in the Decor Depot Bristol night race. Ethan Burrell leading the way, and Justin Wadsworth closing back in on Gavin Hibbs, but I don't know. This top 4 might get all bunched back together here pretty quick because David Tooker applying the pressure to Justin Wadsworth as well.
I think this is going to end up being a top 7 before too long. Tate Lytle and Nick Massey have caught the Chad Frankenfield and Trey Holmes train, but if this group starts to get racy, I think Tate and Massey will both clear through and get there, and Scott Crump's not too far behind Nick Massey, so there's a possibility we could have a 6 or 7 car battle for this win coming down the stretch here, and we might need to pit again too.
I would imagine we'd need to if we were to go green the rest of the way, as we'll see Nick Massey is having to really work to get around Chad Frankenfield. I think he'll be able to do it this time, but probably took a little bit more time than he was hoping for. It cost him about a half second to Tate Lytle.
He had been on the back bumper of the 56 for the entirety of the run. Had Nick Massey, and he drives it in on the bottom of the racetrack and gains a little bit of that time back. So he's trying to work back up to the Tate Lytle machine is Nick Massey, but both of these guys about 2 seconds behind the race lead, and the battle up in front of them is for third. David Tooker to the outside of Justin Wadsworth, and that is going to be the preferred lane for the 19 car. Move Justin Wadsworth back, though Gavin Hibbs is starting to struggle up in this outside lane, and he has hit the wall at 382 laps.
And he might get it again here, and that's going to allow Justin Wadsworth to kind of separate himself from David Tooker, at least for now, but Tooker is really hooked up on that high side.
And all this is allowing Ethan Burrell to scurry away. Running high, Ethan. He's got about a second on these guys now, and you can see the gap coming down for Tate Lytle to the back bumper of Justin Wadsworth. It was over a second. It is now just about a second. Back to that 56 car, and he is also moving forward, but right now the Pro Edge car moving forward in this group, it's David Tooker. He cuts to the bottom, going to try to get underneath Gavin Hibbs here in turn 1, and I think he's going to get it done.
Up the track in front of Gavin Hibbs, moved David Tooker to the second spot. Now he will try to close back in on Ethan Burrell. We'll see if he's able to make up some time. That 19 car's been fast. I would not be surprised if he's able to start eating into that gap.
Yeah, David Tooker's been really strong, I think, and this has got all the makings of a Pro Edge podium sweep. I'll say that now, and we'll see what happens. But Tate Lytle, there's some big traffic for Ethan Burrell right now. That's going to allow David Tooker and Gavin Hibbs to really eat into the lead. Ethan Burrell has built up. Justin Fortner is on the lead lap. Recall, he is about 10 laps shorter on tires than everybody else. Jonathan Cutlip's made do with it. He is in 8th. But Fortner now a lap down. That does kick Jeff Green off the bubble of the Lucky Dog. He and Gerald Campbell are the only other cars 1 lap down at the moment.
Ethan Burrell really having to work high and low to get around some of this traffic. Now he's able to get clear of Mike DeWalt. David Tooker has cleared up to
Mike
DeWalt. There
are we at 114? Ooh. Johnny Thomas, the next car in line to go a lap down from Ethan Burrell. Who's got the flag?
Well, that's Cutlip on pit road.
It might be Cutlip. He's been out for the longest. Justin Fortner now coming down pit road as well. So they have got to hope that this thing goes green for about 20 more laps.
Yeah, they need this to cycle through, or this is a hurting. If it cycles through, then they get the undercut, so they'll be able to make up some ground. But then, of course, obviously, they'll be on the other side once everybody pits. They'll have the older tires. But the worst-case scenario would be a caution before it cycles through.
Right. Johnny Thomas up on the top of the racetrack. This is a lead lap car in that 83. He has worked his way back onto the lead lap, but now he's in a bit of a pickle as 2 Pro Edge Toyotas working to the inside of this 83. But Johnny holding strong, battling for that lead lap spot right behind Mark Rabilis, and that battle is allowing for David Tooker to close in on Ethan Burrell, and Johnny's going to run up on Mike Rabilis and get put a lap down.
Oh, there's a car around.
Oh, and that is
out. I believe it was Cutlip I saw around. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, I was going to say that it hurts Jonathan Cutlip, but if he used the car around, it would have hurt him anyway.
Let's see.
Oh, right into Tate Lytle.
Yep, he gets into Tate Lytle there.
Tate's going to save it, but I think Cutlip is going to end up spun out by Massey. I think this is just going to be a sideways, slideways, caution, and then we're straight.
That's what I saw, and I'll be honest, I was a little surprised. iRacing, I guess right here, they've lost it right there. I didn't see this part, so that's and that clips Jordan Owens.
Scott Crump going to get in on this. The 90 cars on the binders.
Oh boy,
we got there. Cutlip gets the tally from Robert Hill in race control, and I believe Johnny Thomas just gets the lucky dog right away. Yep, he's already by the race leaders. Cutlip is 3 laps down. Fortner is 4 laps down. So that was about the worst possible timing for that final caution.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, but yeah, it's kind of like you said. The caution only benefits. You didn't need the caution, so it's kind of one of those situations where it's tough. It's tough. Everything happens fast. I'm not saying Cutlip made a huge mistake or whatever, but you got to remind yourself sometimes in a situation like that, no matter how much speed you have with those fresh tires, you don't want to undermine everything by bringing out caution.
Yep, you absolutely cannot be the caution there. And I want to note, I think I know where those black flags came from. When we just followed the leaders on the pit road, those guys were pacing alongside lapped cars up to the top of the track. I think they accidentally passed the lapped cars to the top of the track and received the passing under yellow black flag. That's what I'm going with.
On pit entry?
Yeah, like when they were pacing in turn 4.
But you're on pit road at that point. That wouldn't do it. If that happened, then everybody would get a passing under yellow penalty every time we went to Phoenix.
Perhaps not.
I don't think that's it. You'd be on pit road at that. I know there's not a wall there, but that's still pit road.
Gotcha. It was my theory. Probably wrong.
I'm not feeling it.
Ethan Burrell retains the race lead here with 100 laps to go at Bristol. David Tooker 2nd. Gavin Hibbs comes off pit road 3rd. Justin Wadsworth 4th. Tate Lytle 5th. Scott Crump 6th. Nick Indelicato 7th. He's made a pretty nice recovery drive in from a 38th starting position, has Nick Indelicato. Ryan Schuld is 8th. Nick Massey is 9th. Matthew Weeks will restart 10th. Tyler Fody will restart 11th. Corey Abbott 12th. Johnny Thomas 13th. Jeff Green, I believe, takes the wave around and will restart 14th with full tires. He will be hoping for a yellow. The 2 cars 1 lap down will be Gerald Campbell and Trey Holmes in that case.
So as we get ready for this restart, the interesting thing now, we've kind of taken ourselves out of green flag pit stop territory, but I'm sure that because we've had some long green flag runs, there's still plenty of good years sitting on pit road. It'll be interesting to see when people choose to pit if we get further cautions.
Only 12 so far here in the 400 laps we've run. Let's run 99 more. Ethan Burrell gets the green flag. He fires up early. Wadsworth spun the tires. Scott Crump got into the back of his teammate there. Crump with a pretty bad restart overall due to that tire spin. It allows Tate Lytle to move through to 4th and pulls Wadsworth back to 5th.
Here's Justin Wadsworth looking to the outside of Tate Lytle. Tate might be able to clear him if he's able to drive it in. No. So now Justin Wadsworth's got to get the run out of the corner. That's all of a battle for the 4th position between the 6 of Wadsworth, the 56 of Lytle.
Yeah, that's about what Justin Wadsworth did last time, the whole entire run, right? And I don't really think that 6 car fell off as much as some of those other guys did, right? We saw Josh Adams falling back. Adams is now 2 laps down. I think he came down pit road under green because the tires had fallen off of that car so badly. Wadsworth ran that outside line, but he ran it in such a way that kept that tires on that 6 car. I think he's just going to be comfortable to keep the tires on the 6 car once again and see if he can't pick up another top 5 finish here. Guy moving forward is Scott Crump. He jumped to the outside of Nick Massey. He started to move forward. Nick Indelicato blocks on corner entry.
Yeah, Scott Crump carried a ton of speed into that corner. Kind of got held up a little bit by Nick Indelicato. But that car's fast, and Scott Crump's trying to find a way around that 10 car.
We talked about Justin Wadsworth running that outside line defensively. I think Indelicato did just kind of show you what a driver wouldn't be real thrilled with. He was running the bottom before that, and then was looking like he was going to run the bottom on corner entry, and then just kind of drifted up in front of Scott Crump. I don't think Crump would have been too thrilled with that move.
Well, either way, Crump has gotten around Indelicato for the 6th position. He'll try to chase down Tate Lytle. Meanwhile, here's Ethan Burrell, Gavin Hibbs battle for the lead.
Hibbs now working to the top of the racetrack. Ethan Burrell and David Tooker trying to save tire on the bottom of the track, but it's going to give Hibbs the big runs, and now Burrell slices up to the top of the racetrack. He'll clear off that 95 car and try to keep the race lead.
Burrell kind of taking a little bit of a unique line there in 3 and 4. He went down. Yeah, you see it. Well, now he's stuck on top. Gavin Hibbs is there on the inside. Burrell gets the run out of the corner, though. He's got to be able to stay in front. And, they're catching Mark Revelis at a high rate of speed.
Mark cut the wall. Now Hibbs backs off, cools the tires. He's going to have to try to get another big run back at this 37 car of Burrell. And they're catching Chad Frankenfield now at a high rate of speed. Oh, there it is. That's the second time that Burrell's been blocked off by Chad, and it's cost him the race lead twice.
And David Tooker has closed in they had to check up for Chad Frankenfield, and that's allowed the 19 car to close back in.
Well, we're giving the 95 car the race lead, and back behind this, Scott Crump did get around Tate Lytle for that 5th spot, so Crump in the 90 moving forward after the bad restart. Up front, we're following him. Gavin Hibbs, this 95 car, desperate need of a win. Right behind him, Ethan Burrell, one of the dominant cars of the series. 2 wins, our defending winner at Dover, the Daytona 500 winner this season, in no lack of need for race wins. No desperation at all from this car, just that desire to win because he is a race winner. David Tooker, right behind, has not won a race this season. I don't think David Tooker won a race last season either. It's been a bit of a winless drought for this 19 of David Tooker. Justin Wadsworth has not won a Cup Series race before. So a lot of guys up here with some real determination to get up and win this race. And I think we're seeing some different strategies. Seeing guys save tires. 80 laps to go. We're going to see some aggression. These guys know it's go time.
I know you hate road courses, David, but that doesn't take away the fact that David Tooker did win at Brands Hatch last year.
You know what? That's right, he did. And you know who was not in the booth that day?
It's true.
Was old me. So
we're not.
One of the 2 races I missed last year was Brands Hatch. So that explains why I don't recall.
To your point, though, that's even going back to the 2023 B season. That's his only win during that stretch. Before that, you have to go back to he had 1 win in the A season of 2023 at Charlotte.
Yep.
That would have been the 600, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would have been. And Tooker it's been a while, and he's a very fast driver. He's won quite a lot of these races. And I envision, we'll see him go to victory lane here pretty shortly. But
Scott Crump has entered the chat.
Yeah, Scott Crump is starting to utilize the right front tire of this 90 car, I believe is the move, and he goes around his teammate Justin Wadsworth, and Scott's doing something interesting where he's running that top to make the pass, but then he's dropping it right back to the bottom and trying to cool the tires and save the right front.
Yeah, definitely an interesting strategy, but I think we've seen a couple of guys kind of make that work tonight, and makes sense for Scott Crump to try that as well. Save the tire while you're chasing down these guys, and only go up top when you absolutely have to make the pass. And there you see they'll work around Mark Rebillis again.
Behind Justin Wadsworth, their teammate Tyler Fody is back to 6th after the contact and the damage. It might finally be fixed. Fody also running that top lane, might be working on the tires a little bit, expecting another couple of caution flags. He's just in front of Nick and Delicato there in 7th. Tate Lytle in 8th. Matthew Weeks has recovered very nicely from some early incidents to 9th. He has had a really strong run, has this 11 car, despite, I think, a start he wouldn't have preferred. And then Corey Abbott has worked back to 10th. Corey's pretty good on the restarts, but I think he burns the tires up on this 21 car.
Yeah, Abbott back in the top 10, but as you mentioned, we've seen some rises and falls from that 21 car this evening, but still running in the top 10 at the moment. Strong showing for Pork Chop Corey Abbott.
I can't get Kachow anymore. I thought Kachow worked pretty good too. He was running the Lightning McQueen car last season. Ryan Gable, Jonathan Cutlip are 1 lap down or more. So that means the next lead lap car was Nick Massey right there in 11th. Nick's had a good run but was involved in that last caution, and Nick just caught the wall.
Yeah, Nick Massey went way up the hill there. That kind of caught me by surprise. I don't know if there was contact that sent him up the hill or what happened, but definitely some ground lost for Nick Massey. He's got to drop back to the 11th position, and Johnny Thomas is just one car. There's the lap car in between them, but Johnny Thomas is right there.
Nick's going to get caught behind Chad right here. Chad bounces off of Trey Holmes, and Chad's still out there on very, very old tires. Johnny Thomas through to 11th. Around Nick Massey. So Chad holds up and costs another lead lap driver a spot. Yeah, that's about right. Last car on the lead lap, by the way, is Ryan Schold here in 13th. So that's kind of our through the field lead lap cars. All of them are chasing this car. Gavin Hibbs out in front, running the bottom of the racetrack, trying to save his stuff, and in desperate need of a win, as we've covered.
In need of that win, 66 laps to go. Just trying to manage that lead at the moment. You know, Ethan Burrell's back there. You've got a little bit of a gap on him. There's a saying, as we see, there's the last time Chad Frankenfield pitted was more than 100 laps ago, close to 150 laps ago. Those tires have to be about down to the cords. There's a saying I've always loved in racing, that the best drivers win by the smallest margins. And the idea behind that is you run just hard enough to win the race and not a bit more. Certainly Kyle Larson didn't take that theory to heart in the real life at Bristol. But I think that's kind of, I won't say you want to bring Ethan Burrell right to your back bumper, but you don't want to get too far out front and just unnecessarily use up your tires either. Right here is about where you want it, I think.
Yeah, Hibbs is working the top side of the racetrack right now, but you'll note that Burrell is catching him because of the change in pace to that lap traffic. And the last thing I want is Ethan Burrell to start catching me here. Ethan is
you say that
real fast.
2/10 the last 2 laps. He's cut that lead in about half since we started talking about it.
Yeah, Ethan Burrell is starting to make his move. So is David Tooker. The Lake Norman Chevys are 2 seconds back. They have not started kind of ascending here as this run has gone on. They're going to have to hope that these Pro Edge Toyotas and Gavin Hibbs wind up running into some lap traffic at long last.
Chad Frankenfield and his 150 lap old tires have had enough.
Come down pit road, and once again Chad will lose 3-4 laps on pit road,
or
he might have not lost a lap had he just pitted last time. Here comes Ethan Burrell for the race lead. Up front, he's going to look underneath Gavin Hibbs, but that's not going to work. Hibbs running that top lane, trying to race defensively here, and David Tooker is now on the back bumper of Ethan Burrell, so any stumble by that 37 and the 19 will pounce. Watching the gap back to Scott Crump in 4th. It is coming down just a little bit. Now Crump, I think, bobbles off of turn 4, and the gap goes up about 2/10.
And hindsight is 20/20. But if you think about the couple of times now that Chad has stayed out on incredibly old tires and tried to catch a timely caution, he's probably lost, let's say conservatively, 5 laps doing that.
Yeah, I think easily.
I
call it 6.
You could argue 6. Well, if you give him 6 laps, that's 3 or 4 spots. If you give him 7 or 8 laps, which I think might even be fair when you consider the laps he's been losing on track on top of the time he loses on pit road, you get closer to maybe 10 points he's cost himself by doing this. For a guy who's 10th in points and was only about 10 points ahead of the bubble coming in, that's tough.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good strategizing, as it were. I don't believe in, Chad's. This is the kind of thing when we talked about Chad's making some adjustments in, with the style of racing. I think this is one thing he definitely needs to consider adjusting. Is you can't get back on the lead lap once you're 3 or 4 down here. You have to change what you're fighting for, and that is to minimize the number of laps you are going to go down in this race and try to keep the tires on the car fresh, try to keep the car as clean as possible, because once you've been hit, once you go 2 or 3 laps down, you're not winning anymore. Your race is over. You've got to go out there and change your strategy. Chad Frankenfield, a little bit resistant to that right now, keeps trying to get the wave around, and it just ends up costing him more and more and more, and it kind of snowballed into a worse race than it could have been.
And look, maybe he wouldn't have been able to stay in contention with even the guys 3 or 4 laps down because of damage or whatever the case may be. But now basically the only person he's racing on the track is Mark Reblis.
Right. Up in front of this, as Chad goes around Scott Crump, these 3 have done their due diligence. Tyler Fode's gone around Scott Crump. Tyler Fode is one car that's been bouncing on the right front tire after getting hit to cause one of the cautions earlier in this race. He is quite quick right now. He is making up time on the race leaders at this point. And I really did not expect this out of Tyler Fode once the right front tire got damaged. Felt like that would just kind of be it for this 40 car, and he'd finish 10th or so and have another good points day. Tyler Fode's not done yet. This car is fast.
It's still digging. He's only about 2 seconds back at the moment as this battle for the lead's about to pick up. Gavin Hibbs might have gotten a piece of the wall there, but he's still out front in front of Ethan Burrell. These top 3 are under a blanket at the moment.
And we're under 50 laps to go. 50 laps at Bristol, it's like 15 minutes. We're almost done with this race. It's been a long one, but we're coming down to the wire here. 50 laps at Bristol, it's like 10 or 15 laps at another track. This thing is late. Ethan Burrell and David Tucker are going to have to make their move soon, and they've moved up the racetrack. They're trying to run that top lane in the tire tracks of Gavin Hibbs, and if they get started, they start to run single file or double file rather, might bring Tyler Fode up to him. And right now I think Ethan Burrell, David Tucker are biding their time, but it seems like Gavin Hibbs' defensive driving has really worked, and it's kind of forced them to change up what they're going for. And right now, they're not able to make that pass on Gavin Hibbs.
And oh, by the way, here comes those fresh tires for Chad Frankenfield. Has he got to be able to get through without shuffling up these top 3 a little bit?
He certainly found his way to shuffle up a few lead lap cars tonight. And, when we talked about, trying to run your race and stuff, well, Chad has impacted the race of other drivers today. And that's something you really don't want to do in a negative way. And I would say, 4 or 5 drivers have been negatively impacted by him running around slow on the racetrack. So
it's been a tough situation for sure. That time able to get through without causing too much issue, is now you're going to see these leaders close in on Michael Hossack, and was that Nick Massey ahead of him? I'm not sure. Oh, side by side for the lead.
Here comes Ethan Burrell. He made the move. Can Ethan make it stick? He's staying in that middle lane as Ethan Burrell. He's trying to get as much of that run from the outside lane. Does David Tucker take advantage and jump to the outside behind Gavin Hibbs and try to take second over from his teammate? I kind of feel like Tucker's too much of a wingman, but here comes Tucker to the outside.
Tucker to the outside. This is about to be a 3-wide battle for the lead as they try to get around Michael Hossack here. Ethan Burrell's trying to thread the needle, not going to be able to get the drive off. Gavin Hibbs slides up in front of Hossack. That's going to open the door for Burrell to the bottom, but what good is the door with these cars in front of them?
Yep, here comes Hibbs to the bottom of Nick Massey. That's to put the 13th place car one lap down. Burrell cuts to the bottom as well. Hibbs' car doesn't work as good on the bottom as Burrell's does. Now Burrell's got the preferred line up top.
He's got the preferred line, but he's going to have to get down. Oh, no!
Goody! And Gavin Hibbs wrecks from the race lead. No caution. Ethan Burrell still got it.
And I'm sure what a heartbreaker for Gavin Hibbs. He has the meatball. You could see the damage on the left front. We're going to take another look at it. Just got caught up there behind Michael Goodman. Does Goodman move down? I think Goodman may have gotten a little loose, and they kind of met in the middle there.
You could see Goody trying to get to the top, trying to get away from Gavin Hibbs, and they came together at the wrong time. That's such a heartbreaking moment, and in a real life car, Hibbs might just bounce off the door of Michael Goodman without too much damage, but the way the iRacing car reacts, Hibbs is sent to the inside wall, and ultimately the day done for the 95. A heartbreaker and kind of the emblematic for the season of Gavin Hibbs.
We talked about how badly he needed that win and what that would have done for him tonight, but there you see them, the coming together. On
board with Gavin here.
One last look here before we go back to the live action. There you see the contact that sends Gavin Hibbs to the inside wall, tally issued to Michael Goodman.
Yep. Tyler Fody cut the lead down to about a 1.3 seconds. He's lost about 4/10 since then. It's a two-car race for the win between Ethan Burrell, one of our dominant drivers on the season, and David Tucker, a guy who's played wingman for Ethan Burrell multiple times this year and has kind of fallen short, has not won a race yet this season. Gotta be hungry. Does David Tucker going after his teammate Ethan Burrell? I feel like Tucker's done a good job saving the tires. I think he's got a chance to make a run at Ethan Burrell right here. But if these guys start racing for the lead, they will bring Tyler Fody into the mix. And I can promise you the last thing they want is for them two to get together and cost the team the race win.
Yeah, this is certainly... They're going to both be laying it on the line for a win in the Bristol night race. We talked about how much this win would mean to Tucker, but Ethan Burrell, he wants to collect all those points he can. He has a chance to maybe move into, a better position, if not the outright points lead. Probably not with Fody running third, but certainly he can put himself there. Oh, there's a little bit of contact further back. That's Gerald Campbell and Nick Indelicato. That's
the seventh place car, and
that's not even a battle for position. We got big better beef, fellas. I don't know who's beefing with who, but y'all need to stop beefing.
Stop beefing. We got 24 laps to go. We're almost done with this thing. Josh Clark in the wall. That might be the caution there if we get one. I can hear cars bouncing off the fence in my mic. Can't tell if it's this same battle or not. This is right behind 6th place Tate Lytle.
Oh, yeah, some of these cars, lap cars, really having a hard time staying out of the fence. But back up front, you see the battle for the lead. Ethan Burrell, David Tucker, about 1.5 tenths apart here with 22 to go.
Yep, David Tucker has kept Ethan Burrell right in striking distance. All he has to do is count down the laps until he can make his move, shuffle that 37 car up the groove, and mosey on his merry way. But for now, he's got to run this thing clean, hang out, wait for this thing to end, but the caution is out.
Mark Rebelus around on the backstretch. That's right in front of these leaders, but he's come to a stop. They should be able to get by.
And they do. And who goes to get tires? There's only 11 cars on the lead lap. I'd come get tires.
I think everybody will have to come down pit road out of those lead lap cars, and hey, lap cars maybe go ahead and do it too.
This might be the only time that it's acceptable. Johnny Thomas, Corey Abbott side by side. That is a battle for 10th. And Rabila,
well, the tally was issued to Johnny Thomas.
I don't know if I agree with that one. Johnny, he did claim it. All right, well, there you go. Hard to argue with the driver believing he's on himself at fault.
That's why you never claim them.
Yeah. Even if it's blatantly your fault, don't come over and say it is. Who
No.
takes 2 tires? That's maybe my question now.
Ooh,
That'd be an interesting
that is a
thought.
good question.
Why doesn't Justin Wadsworth take 2 right side tires, try to restart on the top and hang on to the race lead? That's what I'd like to find out.
Let's see here what these fellas up front do. They're still making their way around this interminably long pit road here.
I think we should talk to Gavin Hibbs while we watch Pit Cycle.
All right.
Let's bring him in as we observe Ethan Burrell and see if he takes 2 tires. Gavin, it's David in the booth. You got us?
Hello.
Yeah, you do. So, Gavin, you ran up front all day, man. You had a really good run. We were certainly rooting for you, describing how much you needed to win. It ended up not to be. What happened out there, buddy?
I don't know, David. It's just, it's the beauty of Bristol, just racing around lap guys, trying to get around them and all that other junk, and really just really upset right now.
Any was this maybe your best opportunity, or are you thinking you'll have more of those in the future here?
I mean, obviously with Daytona as the regular season finale, there's a good chance there, even though my luck at Daytona hasn't been great. But Martinsville, don't know how everybody else is there, but I feel like we have a good shot to run really good there too. So it's just unfortunate to be in this situation.
And for buddy, any shout outs you have before we send you off in this somewhat disappointing finish to your night?
Yeah, Hibbs Designs and Shift Esports, obviously. We had a rough start, but we were looking somewhat decent at the end there. So shout out to them.
All right, a dejected Gavin Hibbs. We appreciate you, Gavin. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Up front, Ethan Burrell distracted the heck out of me. I thought he got a penalty.
He did.
Well, I'm very confused here because you can see.
Oh, and there he goes.
Everybody, they're arguing about pit exit being closed.
They're way behind the base car right now. David Tucker and Tyler Fody are the race leaders here. Okay, we're extending the caution.
I mean, look, I get that they're arguing about whether or not pit exit should be closed, but I could see on my screen that the red lights are illuminated at pit exit. So if pit exit is closed, even if it doesn't make sense for it to be closed, just stop.
Yeah.
Stop. That's how you don't get penalized. I get it's weird that iRacing's doing it, but especially if you've already seen it happen one time, you got to be on the lookout for it.
I know I ran into this last Thursday. We had a race at Eldora. Dirt track, short. You don't really have time. Came off pit road, but the pit light said it was closed. So I stopped. I did not lose a lap. I did not get penalized. I noticed other drivers got penalized. So, this is something you can see. It's a mistake. It's a mistake by Ethan Burrell and Scott Crump. I think it's a mistake directly correlated to them both taking 2 tires and getting out way ahead of everybody else.
Yes, I do think that was a contributing factor as well.
And yeah, ultimately, I think that's the problem for them, is that they came out so early that they were, kind of somewhat forced into pulling out on track while the rest of the field was going by, and ultimately it's going to cost them a chance at winning this race, and that's going to hand the race lead over to the guys who took 4 tires. David Tucker and Tyler Fody are 1-2. Tate Lytle is going to restart in 4th, but he's going to have that kind of 3rd place advantage here, and it's Lake Norman versus Pro Edge once again. Green flag is out for Tucker.
David
Tyler
Tucker.
Fody's, go ahead. What a restart for Matthew Weeks. He shot up to 4th from 6th place, and Justin Wadsworth falls to 5th. Tyler Fody holds on to 3rd for now, and everybody goes to the top of the racetrack, but they're all chasing behind David Tucker.
Tate Lytle second, Tyler Fode third, down to 11 laps to go, 10 to go next time by David Tooker.
Oh, Tate sideways off of turn 2. No, Tate's still stuck. Tate's wrecking. He's gonna save it, and he's gonna bring out the caution. Is Tate Lytle, but somehow no one else involved, despite Tate being out of control for a while.
And Scott Crump got loose.
Yep, Scott Crump's gonna go around on the front straightaway as well. Is that Tate's second of the night? But he get peeled the other one. Scott does a good job locking. Yeah, Tate already appealed the first one. Scott did a good job of locking the 90 car down and not hitting that inside wall. I think that's a very impressive job by Scott Crump not to nose that thing into the fence, because that was a real possibility. Nine laps to go. Are we going to be restarting with 5 to go, maybe?
It'll be somewhere in that neighborhood, 5 or 6 to go.
I don't know if there's enough time with 5 laps to go for these guys to catch David Tooker when he gets that jump on the restart.
Yeah, it's going to have to be better next time for sure if you're going to give him a fight.
And he's got another teammate on the front row with him here. Matthew Weeks is now up there. So Tooker's going to have the ability to pull Matthew Weeks by the Lake Norman drivers and keep them pinned back once again. So re-rack the running order because we have a few new names up here in the top group. David Tooker, race leader. He has had fast car all night, but has not really led until just now. Tyler Fode running second. He's been damaged in this race. Matthew Weeks running third. He's been damaged in this race. Justin Wadsworth sitting in fourth. He's led a number of laps in this race. Nick Indelicato sits fifth. He's been damaged in this race. Ryan Schold is running sixth. Johnny Thomas has been a lap down. He's gotten the lucky dog. He's running seventh. Corey Abbott's been a lap down. He's got the lucky dog. He's running eighth. Scott Crump and Ethan Barreau are ninth and 10th. They've gotten the penalty for exiting pit road. The pit road exit is closed, and they have both come down pit road. Jeff Green now ascends to 10th. He's been a lap down today and been involved in a couple of incidents. Gerald Campbell was also among this group that is still on the lead lap. He's running, I think, 12th currently on my scoring pylon. It might be 11th overall. A remarkable comeback drive thus far for Gerald. In fact, I do want to note that a number of our drivers did stay out, take the wave around that time, did not go a lap down, and did get a lap back there. So the Chad Frankenfield strategy finally worked for a few guys.
Worth noting also, since he is staying out under appeal, if the appeal is unsuccessful, then for all intents and purposes, Tate Lytle's race ended on whatever lap that caution came out. I'm seeing 491 from the official scoring. So that would put him, assuming we finish in regulation, something like 9 laps down. So that would drop him down into the 30s.
Although almost. Chad said he finishes 43rd.
27th. Oh, does he finish 40?
If you appeal a second tally and you lose it, then you get 43rd automatically.
I think it's just the 43rd place points. I don't think he shifts everybody up.
Right.
So it's easier to score that way.
All right.
I think he was advising him of that to make sure he was willing to risk it.
A lot of dang points.
Yeah, a lot of points potentially lost for Tate Lytle. Up front, David Tooker takes the top. He's going to go with the race win and not trying to pull his teammate through. Tyler Fode on the bottom in second. Justin Wadsworth up top, technically fourth, running third. Green flag is back out. Big jump for David Tooker. Wadsworth to the outside of teammate Tyler Fode for that second spot. Give it to Justin Wadsworth coming off of 2. If Wadsworth can keep it out of the fence, he does.
This is music to David Tooker's ears watching these guys battle for second.
Can Wadsworth hunt down David Tooker in 3 laps? Not a whole lot of time here at Bristol.
Down to the bottom for Wadsworth, trying to eat into that gap. 2 laps to go. I don't know if he made up a lot of ground that lap.
Not really. Tooker set sail out in front in that 19 car. Justin Wadsworth a lot slower behind. Tyler Fode pressuring his teammate. But they can put 2 on the podium here tonight. Can Lake Norman? The white flag is out. David Tooker out in front in the Decor Depot Bristol night race through 3 and 4 for the final time. And it'll be Pro Edge Racing on top once again. But it won't be anything. It's David Tooker winning at Bristol for his first win of the season. Justin Wadsworth finishes second. Tyler Fody comes home in third. We had some shenanigans on the front straightaway to finish this race out. But a very strong drive by David Tooker. Maybe the beneficiary of some mistakes by some of his competition there. And obviously the wreck of Gavin Hibbs. But David Tooker able to take home the victory here tonight. You can see the Pro Edge drivers lining up to congratulate their teammate. Tooker wins a 500 lap brawl. How many cautions did we end up with there, Dave?
14? 15?
I want to say it's 15.
I want to say it was 15.
We watched David Tooker burn it down. And new paint scheme. He had a little tribute video to note out the new fresh paint scheme for that 19 car and put it in victory lane. So yeah, might want to run that one the rest of the season there, Tooker. While we wait for the drivers to get into the interview waiting room, we'll interview the top 3. That'll be Tyler Fody, Justin Wadsworth, and David Tooker. As we interview our podium drivers, we can go through the running order.
Second.
This is a pretty cool celebration. Tooker running the drifting. Burn it down, Tooker. You deserve it, man. It's been a while since David Tooker's won him a race.
Yes, it has.
Here's the results. We'll pull back we'll go from back to front here.
Yeah, why did it go up that late?
I don't know. Call out some names though. Gavin Hibbs finishes 30th in this one. Go ahead, Zach.
I don't know. David Tooker wins. Justin Wadsworth second. Tyler Fody third. Matthew Weeks fourth. Nick and Delicato fifth. Ryan Schultz sixth. Corey Abbott seventh. Johnny Thomas eighth. Gerald Campbell ninth. Ethan Burrell rounding out the top 10. Scott Crump 11th. Tate Lytle 12th. Nick Massey 13th. Jeff Green, last car on the lead lap, in 14th. Josh Adams, Ryan Gable, Trey Holmes, Jonathan Cutlip, Justin Fortner, Brent Jones rounding out the top 20. Michael Goodman 21st. Josh Clark 22nd. Michael Hossack, Mike DeWalt, Richie Hearn, Leighton Norgard, Seth Rawls, all these guys several laps down. Chad Frankenfield, Mark Reblis, Gavin Hibbs, of course, collected in that incident from the lead, and pretty much everyone after that did not finish the race.
Yep. We've seen the rest of them throughout. And you can check and find where your favorite driver finished tonight, but for now, we will talk to third place finisher Tyler Fody. And in this one, Tyler, you had a pretty dominant car early in the race, and then you got run into. And then you fell back a little bit, and you made it all the way back up to third with a chance to win it. Take us through your night there, buddy.
Yeah, extremely frustrating, again, to be here. Easily felt like I had one of the cars to beat. Was great on tires all night. Some of those early runs, having to push to get track position, the tires ended up catching up at the end just because of how long the run was. But even falling back a bit, I ended up leveling off multiple times. So just felt really good all around. Yeah, just track position there. Some lappers all night were just problems, which I don't know for what reason, but just in the way. And then, yeah, wrong place, wrong time there with the lap car. Didn't feel like it hit that bad, but I got 2 minutes in a bent suspension. So that was pretty much hindering the car the rest of the way. And was just trying to ride around to get the damage fixed. Got it all fixed at the end there. Still had some lingering issues, but glad to at least get back up here, but just extremely frustrating to watch that happen because I feel like we had it.
Certainly, like you mentioned, one of the fastest cars in the first half of the race. Before that incident, still third place finish, able to salvage a solid points night out of the deal on a night where, unfortunately, Ethan Stanley got collected in an incident pretty early on. Uh, how much does that help kind of soften the blow of the evening?
Not much at all, really. I wasn't even thinking about that. Getting kind of tired of being one of the first two into the interviews. Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep going here, keep trying.
Yeah, Atlanta next week. Another, I think, is that new Atlanta or old Atlanta? Can anybody verify?
New.
Is it new? All right. Well, plate track. That's kind of your bread and butter. Your teammates. You guys always run well there. You looking to go end this little winless drought next week?
We'd like to, and if not, at least have a teammate up there. But we'll see. It's been a while. I actually don't even think we've done Cup there. We've done Xfinity a while back and Truck this season, so it should be a bit of an unknown.
Any thank yous and shout outs you want to give here before we send you off there tonight, Tyler?
Yeah, just I mean, the whole team had awesome speed. I mean, all night, but it's Bristol just got to be there at the end. So for the guys that did salvage it, I mean, Justin obviously ran a great race, clean race. I don't think I heard anything from him honestly all night about issues. Really unfortunate with the pit deal there for Scott and Burrell also. That's happened, but yeah, just shout out to those guys for running and having the speed. John Cutlip with JD Designs for painting all our stuff, and then you guys for sitting here with us.
Alrighty, well, congratulations on third, Tyler. Even though we know it's not what you want, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So third place finisher Tyler Fody. Let's grab his teammate Justin Wadsworth, the second place finisher tonight. And Justin, congratulations on finishing second. But this is the second time we talked to you from finishing second in one of these 500 lap full distance races. Take us through your night. It seemed like you were pretty fast, pretty clean. Didn't really have anything bad to talk about, but I'm guessing you just wanted one more spot.
Yeah, man, thank you. Just came up one short again. I feel like these longer races kind of play into my driving style a little bit. And like you said, I was lucky to stay out of trouble, and I came away P2, so pretty happy with that.
Definitely another strong showing in one of these long distance, full distance races, Justin. Being one of the relatively newer guys here in the Cup Series, how much confidence does that give you that you're able to kind of prove yourself in these crown jewel events?
It means a lot, man. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've put in a lot of work this last year or so, and especially since I've joined Lake Norman. I mean, they've been a big help, but I've been putting in the laps, practicing, looking up stuff, just kind of doing everything I can to kind of, find that extra tenth or two. And it feels good to run up there. It's a little intimidating at first, I'll be honest, but it's fun. It's fun being up front, and the farther up front you are, the cleaner racing you get, I feel like. So yeah, big confidence booster, and it's been a good time.
And Justin, we're going to Atlanta next week. A bit of a plate style track, but any confidence that you'll be up here talking to us once again next week at Atlanta, or what are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I've actually never raced the new Atlanta. I'm not a huge fan of the plate tracks overall, but I did see that the weekly Carb Cup is Atlanta, so I ran a couple of those yesterday. I'm going to try and get some practice in, and hopefully stay out of trouble and get another top 5, top 3, and talk to you guys again next week.
Before we let you go, do you have any shout outs on the second place run?
Yeah, I want to shout out my teammates, Lake Norman. The guys have been great. Huge help to me, kind of as I've been developing a little bit. I also want to thank my sponsor, Revelement Workshop. He does great work. I love the paint jobs he makes for me. So if you guys need a paint job, reach out to him. And then lastly, I want to give a shout out to John Cutlip. I talked about kind of my development over the last year and a half. Well, Prior to being on a team and being independent, I leaned on John a lot, and he's been a big help. And every time I get in this interview, I always forget to give him a shout out. So I just want to make sure I did that because, I mean, I'd say he's probably been the biggest contributor to me improving in my success recently for sure.
Awesome. Well, Justin, we appreciate it, and congratulations on second. We'll hopefully we'll talk to you next week again.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
There's Justin Wadsworth. Let's talk to race winner. If I can get him. Race winner David Tooker. And David, congratulations on the win. I feel like it's been a long time coming. You've been up front in a lot of these races.
Yeah, David. I wish I could give you a better interview right now. I'm absolutely exhausted after that. But man, what a race! Oh, geez, that was crazy. No, I feel so bad. First of all, I before I start this interview, I feel horrible that Ethan and Scott Crump got screwed on that penalty. It's literally just a matter of when you pit compared to the lap cars coming around, and he got a pit row or pit exit closed, and I happened to be the first car that was still open, so I got to roll through, but he got the penalty and had to be sent to the back. So I feel really bad for those guys. We definitely should have raced it out with them, but that happened to me earlier in the race too. So it unfortunately it gets everybody, but I'm very fortunate that I got to pay my dues a little bit earlier for that. But no, all in all, it was a really great race. Multiple 100 lap runs all the way to the end. It kind of got hairy right at the end with those couple green white checkers, but being the leader, you just got to make sure you get a good start and just qualifying laps. That's what I had to lock in right there, was just qualifying lap after qualifying lap, and we did it. And it's just, oh man, I'm so excited because this is one of my best ovals. Every time I come here, I have such a good run, and I always end up short. I've won here before in the Cup Series in the past, and to finally be here again and such a beautiful paint scheme. One of my favorites of all time. To be here in this victory lane is so cool.
You talk about how exhausting 500 laps at Bristol can be. There were a lot of different challenges tonight. There were different strategies. There were times where lap cars were on older tires and on a completely different pace than the leaders. You had, pretty much saw a wreck with the leader right in front of you at one point. What was the biggest challenge tonight for you on the way to the win?
The biggest challenge, honestly, was just trying to pick your lanes and learning when and where to be patient, when to be aggressive. Zach, Westergreen, you both know, like, this track is such a tiny place to race, and with such huge cars, it makes it so hard to really get through some of these guys, especially with the varying tire strategies. Some tires are closer together, others are far apart, and it's just a matter of, playing out your patience. There was times where I felt like I could have easily gone and passed the guys in front of me, but I knew if I tried to go up there and try to make that move, they were going to race me, and it was only going to hurt my tires. So it was just a matter of picking your battles and really trying to be patient with it. I felt like I nailed it on the head with as far as when I was making changes of lanes and working with the momentum of the field, trying to get through. So it's honestly just a matter of who gets out front and where, and that's going to set the tone for the race. I think there was a couple times where the leaders got up front. John Cutlip was really fast this race. He got out front, huge lead, and we closed him in over the course of a run just because of lap traffic. So it's just really, really tough to really pick your battles.
Yeah, Tooker, and I think you summed up the race really nicely. So since you're exhausted, I'll just go ahead and ask you for some shout outs tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to do more, but yeah, like you said, just so exhausting. 500 laps around here goes around pretty quick. Thankfully that we got those few 100 lap runs in, that saved us a lot. But man, it's worn out. Like, you don't feel it during the race, but the moment I crossed the finish line, I said, okay, I'm just letting my wheel go. I felt it in my arms. So I say I'm going to get some good sleep tonight. But huge shout out to all of the Pro Edge guys. Like I said, I feel horrible for Ethan. He got what could have been a win stripped away from him right there, and he was fast all race along with me and a couple other Pro Edge guys like Tate and Weeks got up there too right at the end. But no, we were solid all around as a team coming into this race. We felt good going into it. I felt great going into it. Everybody in Elite, all of our drivers. I mean, we finally got it together to get some 100 lap plus runs in right there. So I'm really proud of everybody that's part of this organization. Like I said, all of our admin doing the work up there. Robert's putting in a lot of work, making things go as well as possible. Chad for what he does for us. John with JD Designs painted me an extremely beautiful car. Like I hate to do that twice, but it's just one of my favorite cars I've ever driven, and it seems like every time I break out a new paint, I ended up winning. So I gotta keep doing that. So, like I said, everybody at Belly Up, Worldwide Technology, Blue Egg, 40 Racewear, Whiplash Sim Cams, JD Designs, also you guys up in the booth. Had a long night tonight, and you guys stuck it out for us. So I really appreciate it, and looking forward to watching this one back. You guys do an awesome job up here.
We appreciate it, Tucker, and congrats on the win, man. And hopefully we'll see you next week in Atlanta.
Alrighty, thank you, boys.
And that will, well, he left on his own. That'll close out the Den Decor Depot Bristol night race. Zach, any final closing thoughts here before we send him off for the night?
I mean, you heard it there, right? I mean, I know it's sitting at a computer, but 500 laps at this place takes its toll. The mental exertion, the focus needed to just get 500 laps in the books. Never mind winning this race. It's so demanding. A hard-earned win for David Tooker. Certainly there was some breaks that fell his way, whether it was the incident with Gavin Hibbs or the pit road penalties or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the night, it was David Tooker who avoided all of that, put himself in position to get the win, adds that to his collection of crown jewel wins here in Elite. And of course, big win as far as making sure he's part of this playoff deal moving forward. And man, what a time to get one too, because you look at that upcoming schedule, you've got the super speedway at Atlanta, a couple of probably what will also be chaotic and interesting races at Martinsville and Iowa. So that lottery ticket, getting that punched is a big deal at this point in the season.
Yeah, we really do have a bit of a chaotic schedule coming up. When Iowa, which is a notoriously worse iRacing track than it runs in real life, is kind of the maybe the only normal track there that we're not expecting a totally chaotic race. That's I think something to close on. That there's nothing left. I think no gimmies left, right? I think we've run our fair share of the typical mile and a half and some of these races. So I think from here to the rest of the playoffs, you've done what you can. Now it's time to go out and get a win.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get these next 4 races between the 2 super speedways and the 2 short tracks. The bet is made at this point. If you're one of those guys outside the bubble, certainly there got to be some big point swings. You can't stop counting points, but you also got to know some guys are going to go out there and get some wins that maybe we haven't talked about a lot this season too.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely. So all that to say, definitely come back and tune in for at least our next 4 races. This chase to the playoffs is going to be very chaotic, and it's going to be a lot of fun to follow along with. So for Dave Huckleberry, the producer, that was Zach Evans. I am David Westergreen.